Come on in, come on in, come on in. We're going to talk about this late and breaking news about the world's most powerful console and the great service that is Game Pass. Get some of y'all opinions out there. Because I was told that Xbox is Game Pass and Game Pass is Xbox. And I was told that it is what it is. And I was hoping that Game Pass would be very successful and lead to, the beauty of low price games and free content down the road. But it looks like the developers are upset. They mad. They're not getting paid. Phil, what are we doing? Is this the future of Xbox? Iceman, shout out to you. Salty, shout out to you. Key Mac was good. Ragnarok, Infamous. Kawan, Chaos. The Blob was good. Bob was good. Initial D, my brother, was good. TM, call me. Red, Joseph, Cold Blood, was good. We're gonna talk about it, man. Somebody told me that Game Pass was the future. They said that these $70 Sony PlayStation AAA bangers, shout out to Chris Steele, they told me that those were old, outdated ways of gaming. They told me that services and subscriptions was the future. And here we are. We got these developers saying that they haven't been paid. They don't know how many copies sold of games, information is being held back, all kind of stuff. It's just a mess, man. And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about this mess. And hope some of y'all decide to chime in, let your boy know, what you think about it. This is my first Twitter Spaces thing, so it is what it is. But I remember about 2 weeks ago, Sean Layden came out of the woodwork saying that uh, he didn't think that Xbox Game Pass was going to be viable in the long run, and he said that because a lot of these big blockbuster AAA games cost so much amount of money, and if you're only selling your stuff for $10 or $15, that wouldn't be enough to recoup, a $200 million, $300 million budget. And he also said that it would take, right, and this is just for one game. So imagine having over 300 games inside this service. Sean Layton also said that it would take, and he was just being facetious, right? It would just take so many amount of subscribers to recoup that money back. He just said, 500 million subscribers to get it. The number is really probably about 100 to 200 million, depending. If all of your, if you pack your service full of nothing but triple A bangers, obviously that number is going to skyrocket. You're going to need more than just, Jaydub or Chris Steele or Salty subscribing for a month and dropping their subscription, which is what most of us do. My shout out to Principal, I got you. Um, which is pretty much what I do. I kind of do a month to month, depending on what games are coming out and stuff like that. That's just kind of how it goes. I don't know, right? I don't. What we don't know is we don't know how many subscribers Xbox Game Pass has. The last numbers reported were what 18.5 million, and Microsoft hasn't said anything yet past that. And generally, when people say, "Well, Microsoft don't report numbers," that's not true. Microsoft report good numbers. Remember, supposedly Microsoft won the NPD last month, even though it was just based on it wasn't the amount of consoles sold, it was the revenue. So that's just kind of what it is. So Microsoft reports the good news. They don't report the bad news. Now, I'm not saying that Game Pass has dropped to 5 million subs or 2 million subs. What I'm saying is they last reported 18.5 million subscribers. If they would have hit 19 million or 20 million or 21 million or 30 million, they would have reported that. They would have been touting that. Gamer like me, if I have Game Pass this month, Microsoft can say, okay, we have a subscriber for the month. That means that increased the number. Next month, when my subscription drops and I don't renew it, guess what? I am no longer in that pool. Microsoft has a habit, right? They have a habit of, I'm not going to say underreporting, but they have a habit of fluffing the numbers. They have a big habit of fluffing the numbers. And when I say fluffing the numbers, it's not that they're making up fake numbers. Is that they're using the metrics of players. Right now, you'll see some articles about Xbox and some stuff. Oh, we had 5 million players for Sea of Thieves, 4.5 million players, 20 million players for Sea of Thieves, right? But that doesn't say that it's necessarily concurrent. And that's what I want to know. With these Xbox subscribers, these Xbox Game Pass subscribers, is that concurrent? Or is that, well, ever since we released Game Pass, these are the total number of people that we've signed up for this stuff? That's what I want to know. Microsoft isn't forthcoming with that. They aren't showing the details. They aren't telling us. All we hear is, Game Pass is doing pretty well. I remember, some of you guys remember, uh, what's it, Aaron Greenberg saying that Game Pass wasn't, it hadn't made a profit. We got the court document saying that Xbox has never, the hardware itself has never made a profit. You have Phil Spencer going saying, yeah, it's profitable. And then when he get pushed in the interview for when did it become profitable, he's, I got to go take a look. Stuff like that is why a lot of people question Game Pass. Then you have the Take Two developer, right? Now this is the Take Two. This is your whole the owners of Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. So these are not just small people that are talking about Game Pass. Not saying that they're saying something negative about it. It's just they don't believe in that model. The Take Two developers saying, look, you know, not a big fan of the model. It doesn't work for our type of games, the big blockbuster games. And I know there's a lot of Xbox guys out there saying that we hope this game come to Game Pass. A lot of the guys were talking about what Battlefield going to Game Pass. Some guys they'll sit there, they won't buy a game. They'll sit there and wait for it to come to Game Pass. So a developer puts out a new game, and as a gamer, if you expect Xbox gamer, if you're sitting there waiting for a game to come to Game Pass, what if it doesn't come for a year? Then you're going to miss out on supporting that particular developer. And these games cost a lot of money. These games need to be supported. And I get, again, it's only $15, and you look at it as an a la carte. Well, I get all these games in Game Pass. Yeah, you get all these games. But are you supporting the developers? Are you supporting the games? Are you playing the games? We've seen, right? We've seen a lot of the so-called user engagements. Just look at Capcom. They said less than 20% of Xbox gamers play and buy their games. And this is Capcom, the owners of Resident Evil, Street Fighter, and all these other games that we've been having for eons, right? One of the oldest developers out there. So they're not a small indie developer. They're something huge. We see Hades. Only 7% of Haiti purchasers bought it on Xbox. 93% purchased the game on PlayStation. 93%. Now here's the thing. That game is in Game Pass. Phil paid to have that game in Game Pass. I just don't know how much longer will Phil keep spending this money for a lot of these low engagements. Is a lot of the Xbox fan base, are they just hyping this stuff up, but they don't touch it? We've seen the whole Flight Simulator, right? I have tons of hours in Flight Simulator, both on PC because I'm a day one. I'm a flight fanatic. I've been playing X-Plane and all that stuff on PC for a long time. But I see a lot of people not supporting that game, not playing it, or they play it, they spend 30 minutes, get bored, and then they're gone. Is Game Pass full of a lot of filler, right? A lot of smaller games, a lot of low budget, low rated games, just to pad the filler. These are questions that a lot of gamers are asking. Shout out to Sick Humor, Bryant, Alex, Baron J, you know, who we got? We got Jez, Stelt, Chaos, Topo. It's a lot of you guys, man. Shout out to you guys. These are some questions that need to be answered. So now we have this Outriders developer coming out saying that they don't know how many copies are sold and they haven't earned any royalties, right? And there's a lot of blame that's going around the place. A lot of people are blaming Game Pass. A lot of people are blaming, Phil and Microsoft. A lot of people are blaming Square Enix. A lot of people are blaming the Game Pass effect. They say there's just a lot of stuff that's out there. There's a lot of blame to go around. And I'm not specifically going to throw it on Game Pass, but again, this sets a trend, and we know how trends go. When you have Capcom out there saying that only less than 20% of gamers actually buy their games, right? This is like the Resident Evil series. Shout out to my brother Jay, Coach Gotham, was good player. When you have a lot of these developers saying, hey, you know, like Capcom say, less than 20% are buying our games on Xbox. That has to speak volumes for something. These guys spend millions and millions of dollars to develop these games and to deliver them for the place. So over time, right? Over time, you're going to see developers say, look, there's low utilization on the Xbox platform. Why spend a lot of time? Why spend a lot of money in development costs and everything else? Why do that for such a small install base who actually engages with our games and buy them anyway? So hopefully this doesn't happen. But if this trend continues to happen, this can be very bad. This can mean a lot of these games don't come to Xbox. Period. Because when you're making games, you have to make them for multiple platforms, right? You have to make it for Xbox, for PC, for PlayStation, and maybe the Switch if it comes to the Switch. So if they take them development costs and say, look, we're just not going to put a team on the Xbox version, we're just going to go to PC and PlayStation. That's where pretty much 95% of our games sell and we make the most money anyway. Then why even focus on Xbox? Guys have to be mindful of that. You have to be mindful of some of these trends. Now, here's the thing. This is what I found ironic. Prior to this generation, and even at the beginning of the generation, when Sony said that some of their first party games will be full price next generation for their next generation offerings, going to be $70, just like Take Two, just like EA, just like you know all these other developers out here that's charging $70 for their next gen games, right? Microsoft was the only company that said they're going to keep their prices the same. But keep in mind, Microsoft is the only company that doesn't really have the first party games yet, right? So it's easy to say that you're going to do this or you're going to do that. It's easy to say that when you don't have it. Just like exclusives didn't matter, right? Exclusives didn't matter when Microsoft didn't have exclusives, when they didn't have the first party, when they didn't have the offering. Now all of a sudden exclusives matter. They bought Bethesda, and guess what? Exclusives matter now. All of a sudden exclusives matter. It was anti-consumer. It was anti-consumerism when they didn't have the games. All of a sudden now exclusives is the next big deal. Oh, we're going to get Starfield. We're going to get Fable. It's going to be exclusive. You're not going to get it. But I thought that was anti-consumerism when Sony's been doing that forever. We have to be mindful of the trends. Um, let's see. We have somebody. Shout out to Abdi. Shout out to you, man. If you want to say something, go ahead, say something. Just I mean, give me, tell me what you think, man. If is this trend? Is this a trend, or is this just a one-off thing, or maybe people are just taking it out of context? Let me know what you think. Well, I guess he's not gonna come in.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, how's it going, man? Hey, how's it going?
What's
How
up?
you doing?
What's up? Game Pass is it's gonna destroy gaming,
You think so?
honestly. Cause think about it. If these devs already know that their game is gonna be sold for $1, are they gonna put that much effort into their games anymore? Come on.
It's
I
you
mean,
know
think
this.
about it for a second. Think about it. You're working at a desk for 2 years, and your game is gonna be sold for $1. Like what?
Yeah, yeah. I can
That
see from what I understand though is Microsoft says, "Hey, look, I'm going to pay you, let's say 60 to 70% of what you think your game was going to make on our platform anyway." Right? So you're taking a less than 100% cut. But it guarantees that you get this 60% or 70% of the money up front, right? Like, okay, this is
up
guaranteed
front. Yup,
money,
yup. That's actually
guaranteed money. So for a smaller indie developer, right,
yeah.
that may
I
be
understand.
that
Yeah.
guaranteed money may be worth their while because maybe they say, hey, maybe this game turns out like Fortnite and it blows huge, or maybe it doesn't sell anyway, right? Maybe it's a dud. Maybe we lose money. But if Microsoft is willing to offer me 60 or 70% of what I think it's going to sell, maybe that's worth a try.
Yeah, actually, you made a good point about the indies, but
Yeah.
I'm
But
talking.
now we're
I
talking
think
about
we're,
the
yeah,
Outriders, the big blockbuster
yeah,
AAA, right?
yeah,
Now it's different because you're in a whole different bracket, you know. And you have a point there. Will a developer say, "Hey, look, I want to offer my game inside of Game Pass or on Xbox
I
when
think Game Pass is just a
uh,
safety net. It's gonna lead to just stagnation because you don't got that risk. You don't got that risk of if it fails or we're
yeah,
fucked. If it fails, we still got the money, so we'll just keep moving.
yeah,
Keep making mediocrity. You know,
yeah. Well, and you brought up another point
no
too
pressure.
is if is Game Pass full of fodder, right? And when I say fodder, I mean just low rated 60, 50, 40 Metacritic games that's
Uh-huh.
just filler, right? It's not substance there. And it's all subjective. It's all subjective.
For real.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
thanks for
anyway, man,
having me, boss.
thank you, man. I appreciate it. This is my first Twitter Spaces, and so I'm just trying to work this stuff out and get you guys' opinion. I'm the first person to say if someone corrects me or if I'm wrong about something, let me know. I've
I
been known for
bet.
being
Keep
wrong before. I appreciate that, brother.
keep doing these. All right, take care.
Will do. Take care. Okay, we got another person here. Shout out to you. Let's see what you got to say about it, man. Charles, how's it going, man? Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, man, I just want to ask you a question, or rather two questions, right? Just to
Hmm.
see like how you think about it, so you can maybe help me work through this. Like regarding the Capcom sales on Xbox,
Yes.
you said it was 20%, right?
Yeah, according to the article that
Yeah,
they put out. Yes, sir.
right. Okay. So yeah, granted, obviously, that's a small minority compared to what they probably sell on PlayStation or on PC or
Yeah.
Nintendo or what have you. So like let's say there's a future where Capcom has to think like, okay, should we even make this game? And like exclusivity deals aside, Capcom's thinking about like, okay, we're gonna make this game. What platforms are we gonna make it on? And they say, all right, you know what? Let's scrap Xbox because user engagement there is fairly low.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like realistic? Like for a company, a corporation like Capcom to say we're okay with doing away with a fifth of what our potential revenues could be, right? Because
Yeah.
20%, it sounds low, but if you like look at it in perspective, it's a fifth, right? And it's
Yeah.
not a small number. It's a minority, but it's significant to some extent, right?
No,
So you
you're right.
had if you had $100,000 and I told you, all right, well, give me 20 of those, and now you're left with 80,
Yeah.
it's something to consider, right? So do
Yeah,
you
you're right.
think that they would make that decision? And furthermore, like in the future, once,
Hmm.
Xbox's first party games come, and I do think they're coming, right? I
Yeah.
believe that they're going to be better. Do you think that like the user engagement on the platform is going to trend upwards or downwards?
Well, that's a great question. And we have to take two things into account, right? When Capcom said that, they have the numbers. They see that's their data. You know, they see what's going on.
Right.
So If you think about it that way, Capcom could say, right, and maybe it's not that, hey, we're not going to put our game on your platform per se, like in a rude fashion, but maybe it's like with Street Fighter, right? Well, we'll be more obliged to cut a exclusivity deal with PlayStation than to offer it on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can use that narrative. Well, look, if Sony pays a few extra bucks, we don't mind closing that gap and just because think about it. Anytime you take a team, you're making a game, you have to have a team to make it for various platforms. That means they're spending money, time, and resources on that particular platform. So that is a monetary value for that. So it may cost, right? Let's say it costs Capcom $2 million to develop a game to put it on Xbox platform as well as other platforms, but specifically to supply the resources, the developers, and everything else to put it on the Xbox platform. $2 million. Maybe Sony say, "Hey, look, I got $1 million for you to make this and I'm just throwing numbers out there, right? Because
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
not the numbers guy, but I'm just using it for an example. If Sony says, "Hey, look, I'll pay you an extra $1 million to make this exclusive, and we'll help with some of the publishing costs. We'll help with some of the advertising and marketing and stuff like that." Sony is like the Dalai Lama of marketing and stuff like that. So, Cap, Sony and other people may make it worth their while, right? The next Monster Hunter, right? Big blockbuster AAA game. Other people, Nintendo and Sony may make it worth their while to offer it on their platform or give their platform specific perks. Look at the Call of Duty deal, right? PlayStation fans get to have access to the alpha, whereas the Xbox fans won't have that access. So you're absolutely right. You may see where, and I get it, it's a fifth of the overall money that's eventually going to come in, but if the other people can close that gap from a fifth, we don't know. It's just yet to be seen. But I can't see if can a developer keep spending all of this money, cranking it out, right? Cranking all this money out for a platform that is such a small install base and such a small engagement and take up. That's the big question. We have to talk about that. We have to talk about that. So anyway, Charles, thanks for coming rocking out, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
man. Thanks for having me.
for your question. But these are some things that your question is very valid. These are some things we have to look out for. Obviously, we can't tell right now from everybody else, but hey, Outriders is just Square Enix is just one developer. This company that made Outriders, that's just one developer. But look for the trends. I'm finna put Tessie in here and shout out to Tessie. How's it going, man?
Hello, hello, hello,
Hey,
Jaydub.
how you
What's
doing, brother?
poppin'? What's
How's it
poppin'?
going? How's
Okay.
it going, man? What do
So,
you think about all this, man?
so about Game Pass. You know, my Microsoft is all about quantity over quality. That's what Game Pass is
Uh
to
huh.
me. Yeah. I mean, I never never subscribed to Game Pass, but it's like most like especially outright, it's a hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
Like for some like game for example like even Outriders like the developer they don't know what the hell did the game how many did it sell like during the past like it came out since April and
Yeah.
like the Game Pass they paid a lot. Microsoft they paid a lot
Yeah.
for Outriders to be in Game Pass day one. That's
Yeah.
that's that's what they're trending for. Like the 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 company, Microsoft,
Mm-hmm.
Xbox team, they all paying lots of money, not just for Outright, but like for every game to be on Game Pass
Yeah.
since they acquired Bethesda and so whatever their studios.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
they ha- they have to pay these developers a certain amount of money, and from what I understand, it's a percentage based of what they thought that they were going to sell on the platform. Anyway, it's less than 100%, but still, it's there. And so you're right about that. Now, do you think that Game Pass just consists of a bunch of like low-rated games that I mean, is that the consensus to you what Game Pass has become or is?
yes, for Game Pass, like because as I said before, I don't have a subscription for Game Pass, but I've been seeing what Game Pass like have to offer.
Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like the Games Pass having like over a year, 2 years maybe. It's been uh,
Yeah, yeah.
joining with those studios with everything. So Game Pass, I think it's been uh, like I said, it's like a quantity. They have quantity, lots of games. Like
Hmm.
but that doesn't help the devs already because the devs they need to put lots of uh, patches, updates to the game.
Yeah,
Like
they
with
have to
Game Pass doesn't
they have
help
to
them
keep
on the long
supporting it.
term. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to keep supporting your games as long as it's in Game Pass. Well, and I think one remedy about that is, from what I understand, after 30 days, or is it 30 or 90 days, those games go away. So maybe, Game Pass is this thing where, hey, you put your games in here for 30 days, and I mean for 90 days, and after that, we don't have to worry about supporting, or I don't know, man. I don't know. That's why I'm asking these questions here. You asking those good questions, but
Yeah,
there is a consensus out there that Game Pass is, where a lot of games just go to, fill up space. So
yeah.
anyway, thank you, man. Thank you for stopping by and rocking out
Thank
with me, man. I appreciate it.
thank you.
All right, we're finna go to my brother, Infamous. Finna add you, brother, and see what you got to say. All right, Infamous, you got the floor, my brother.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you, sir.
Perfect, perfect.
How's it going?
All right. So I think for me, my biggest question for Game Pass and even for Microsoft himself is how long will they be able to sustain this, right? Because it's clear as day that Game Pass is operating at a loss, right? As
Yeah.
any type of media subscription that initially starts off is operating at a loss. So my next question is, when does the price increase come? Because we know it's coming, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As Microsoft continues to push out these AAA first party titles,
Hmm.
they're only going to continue taking this loss for so long before they say, hey, they shut it down, because we know Microsoft has no problem shutting shit down. They'll shut
Yeah.
shit down the minute that's not working. But my
Mixer and the
biggest
rest of them. Yeah.
yeah, but my biggest thing is I think we're going to see far few less third party AAA games coming to the Game Pass and more AA and indie
Hmm.
titles coming to the Game Pass. Because even when we look at headlines today, right? And obviously people throwing Game Pass in there, but we can't 100% blame Game Pass for Outriders, shitty numbers. But when you have headlines like that, when you have headlines from top companies like Take Two, and they're talking about Game Pass, this is going to make those AAA third party companies either say, hey, we're not going to bring our games to Game Pass, or we're going to demand more money up front from Microsoft to bring our games to Game Pass. And I think in the long run, Microsoft is eventually going to have to carry that cost on to the consumer. Eventually, they will. It's going to happen. They haven't raised the price yet because they just launched a new console and it's going to look bad. Now, Microsoft has tricky marketing, right? Just like how they
Hmm.
said they're going to raise the price of gold. They never were going to do that. That's just a PR stunt, right? That's just to look like the good guy. They knew
Yeah.
damn well when they said they were going to raise the price of gold. They knew damn well the fans going to be outraged. They did it because it makes them look like the good guy, right?
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
Halo. They were never going
Absolutely.
to release Halo last year. Let's be honest. They were not going to release it last year. They made it look like, oh, we're delaying it because we want to satisfy our fans. Bullshit. They were not going to release that fucking alpha shit that they've been showing us. There's no
Yeah.
way. But again, I think we got to look at the long term is how long will Game Pass be able to sustain at a loss? And before Microsoft say start raising the prices, because we're not going to be able to see the numbers, because even right now my Game Pass expires October of next year, and I
Yeah.
only paid that $1 upgrade fee, right? You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
when it's time to renew, I will not be renewing it, right? Because I'm not going to invest $10 or $15 into Microsoft games, right?
Hmm.
But what I will say is that majority of people, and the reason why we probably haven't seen the numbers come out yet, is because a lot of the people are not resubscribing when that trial ends. They're not. They told us when they were at what, 19.5 million, was it? Or
Yeah. No, it
right?
was 18.5 million.
18.5
18.5.
million. It's been silenced ever since.
You're right.
Crickets. We ain't heard
You,
shit. You know why? Because those people that are signing up for $1, they're not renewing. Those people that had signed up and upgraded their gold, right? That got a year, 2 years, they're
hmm
not renewing. People are signing for Game Pass. They're leaving the next month. The numbers are fluctuating probably every single month. That Microsoft cannot come out and truthfully come out and say, hey, this is how many numbers we got. Microsoft has, like you said before, Microsoft has no gripe on reporting positive news. right?
I,
They will
I'll,
stay.
I'll, I'll, I'll tell you this. I think the next time we're gonna get some numbers from Game Pass is when Halo drops, because they know that those people are gonna sign up for that month to play Halo, right? Um, I think that's when those numbers are gonna spike up, and you'll probably see 25, 30 million, shit, maybe even 40 million, right?
I
People
I,
do
I
that,
agree.
and
I
they're gonna
agree.
post it up. It's like the success of the century is Game Pass, and it's all going to be attributed to Halo. Now,
No, I agree. The
after
que-
Halo dies out, or after a month or two, we're gonna, they won't report it again, right?
I agree. Now the question is, do you need Game Pass to play the multiplayer part of Halo?
It's free to play, so one would say no.
Right. So for majority of people that I know, right, they
Uh huh.
love Halo multiplayer, right? You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
got a lot of people that told me like, oh yeah, I don't give a shit about the campaign. I'm glad they separated it. Right. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You know what I mean? So there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna sign up just to play Halo,
Yeah.
single player, and then like you said, drop the service afterwards. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a lot of people that's never even going to play the single player that's gonna jump on the multiplayer. Like myself, I play the multiplayer. I don't really play the single player for Halo.
Yeah.
Not with 343 behind the shit. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So
I hear
but
you.
yep, that's where I'm at. Appreciate you, G.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You take it easy.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna go to player. Come on, I got you. Um, Here you go. Player. What's up? Got Mr. Kratos avatar himself. I got you next, Smokes. I got you, player. I don't know if player gonna say anything.
Hey,
There,
I'm here.
there
Can
you
you
go.
hear
How
me?
you doing, brother? I hear you loud and clear.
All right, let's look at this from a Xbox perspective,
Perspective. Okay.
a fuck nigga perspective.
Facts.
All right, the option to support Game Pass is there. There's a
Hmm.
purchase feature, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but they chose not to. You know what I'm saying?
That's
They chose
true.
they chose not to. They got a dollar deal
Hmm.
and said, "Let me go and play this shit," and then drop about this shit. You know what I'm
Yeah. Well,
saying?
that's kind of what I do. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? I'll be asking my boys all the time, "Hey man, y'all got any deals on Game Pass or whatever?" Because that says 16
Yeah. So
$16.
so so Game Pass is doing some harm
Hmm.
to gaming, man. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
is. It is because they're not gonna buy or support these games.
Yeah.
Period.
Well,
Period.
see, here's the thing about it, right? Before Game Pass was established, there was already a trend there, which comes to low engagements, lower purchasing, right? This
Yeah.
is why we can look back. It started last generation when the Xbox One. They really didn't get any sequels outside of Halo, Gears, and Forza. That's because the engagement for those games, the purchase of those games, were low. You
Yeah,
got
yeah. That's
you
why
got
they
your Dead
create. That's why
Rising,
they.
right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Dead
That's why they
Rising,
create.
that franchise is done. You got your Rise Son of Rome, right? We didn't get a sequel to that. Even Sunset Overdrive, Insomniac was begging to make a sequel for that. They didn't get that, right? Field and they didn't approve that because the sales of those games were. And again, that set a trend for where it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Game Pass popped out, boom. We're gonna create a service, put a bunch of games in there, charge $15 a month. That way, on top of PC and XCloud and all that stuff, that way you can have access to all these games and play these games.
But they're not
Well,
supporting it.
and that's and I think that's the bigger problem that I have is with a lot of the fan base are not supporting the games that actually come on the platform. Look, I play the medium, the battle toads, and all the the bleeding edges and all other stuff. I stream just so I can figure out myself, is this before I shit on this game or before I say it's good, let me try it at least and give them a fair shake. Yes, a lot of these games are low rated and they are fodder. But at this point, if gamers, you got Flight Simulator, you got Outriders, you got some of this stuff, the Capcom games, your Resident Evils and stuff like that. If this stuff is in Game Pass, or not even in Game Pass, just on Xbox, period, and the engagement for them are really low and the sales are really low, do these developers really have an incentive to keep putting it on, spending their time and effort putting it on this platform? That's a good question. You bring up a good question, man. And I don't know the answer to that, Microsoft is not going to release the numbers, but luckily the developers are now starting to release numbers, and they're starting to speak out on a lot of this stuff.
All right, then you said
All
it
right.
all, man.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for following through, man.
No problem.
All right, we got. I'm gonna get with Smokes, and then I got your code. Let me get with. Yeah, I got you. All right, got Smokes. Yeah, got my man Smokes, and keep in mind, I'm asking this question. I'm not saying what it is. I'm just asking the question. Smokes, I got you. What I hear you, player, loud and clear. What's good? Loud and clear. Doing pretty good. Doing
All
pretty
right.
good, man. Just thought I'd ask some questions, man. Like you see Twitter, you see the articles that's going, you see the top, you see the topic of discussion and everything. Now, what do you think, man? What's your opinion on it? Can you hear me, Smokes? All right, he can't hear me. Let me get code in here. My man, hold on. We got my man Code. Can you hear me, brother?
Sir, yes, sir. What's up, my Pegasus Nation brother?
How's it going, player? How's it going?
Oh man, life is good out here in these gaming streets, man. What's going on,
Can't
Pegasus Nation?
complain. Can't
Man,
complain. Can't complain.
my Pegasus brother. I really want to know, why do us Pegasus brethren play more games on Xbox than these Xbox niggas, man? Help me
Oh
understand.
man. Oh man. Listen. Listen. That's a great question, and I've been trying to lead by example, my brother.
Bro,
Um.
bro, I know I spent more money on Xbox games in July, probably. Well, actually, pre-order. It was before July, but the game dropped in July. Shoot, I bought 5 copies of The Ascent, and I'm just curious. I probably outspent a lot of these Xbox on my own in a single month, man. What's wrong with them?
Oh man. Listen. Hey, listen. At this point, not even I can blame Phil Spencer, right? The man is doing his job when it comes to providing a ton of games. Now, I didn't say they were great games. I'm just
Right?
saying a ton of games.
Yeah, options.
So, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
options, right? So, ugh, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
That's a
they.
that's
they
that's a question. I hate to say it, but that's a question that only the Xbox fan base can answer. Now, if you ask certain people, they're going to say the first thing they're going to say is, "Well, I play games, I play them, I play this and that, right?" But when you look
Mhm.
at them collectively,
Yeah. What does the data
mm-mm-mm.
say though? Right.
That's a whole different issue, man. That's a whole different issue. And at this point, I can't blame Phil Spencer because he did create a platform that allows them to engage in these games and to play these games.
Yep.
Now, if he keep paying for all of these games to come in the Game Pass and they're not playing them and they're not buying them and they're not supporting them and giving him the engagements that he need, you leave him no choice but the next step, right? And we all know what the next step is. He's tried from last generation to bring you the blockbuster AAA games. He's tried, and none of those games were supported, right? None of those games
Mm-hmm.
were purchased.
Mm-hmm.
So he bring you a service that gives you over 300 games in it. And if none of those games are being played or being purchased or being engaged with, right, at $15 a month, $10 a month, $1 a month, right? What's the next step? And I get it. People say Microsoft got all this money. They just seem to feel like Microsoft don't mind spending, perpetually unlimited amount of money just to have bragging rights on social media. Eventually, this corporation is going to want a return on investment.
Absolutely.
just
Absolutely.
like just like any company, right? It goes back to the outright
That's why
discussion.
they in business. Yes,
It's
sir.
why they go in business. I brought up Capcom earlier because Capcom itself said that,
Oh,
right?
I heard you. I
The whole
heard you.
20%, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
got some of the other engagement. Look at Hades, right? The whole only 7% versus 93% PlayStation. And one of the bigger arguments is that PlayStation games cost $70. Yes, but when you look at that $70 goes a long way, and it's being engaged, and it's being purchased, and it's being supported.
Facts.
So I don't know, man. I really I'm a loss for words as to what's going on here.
Well,
Um, yeah,
here's what I'll say, my Royal Pegasus brother.
go ahead, brother.
So just so everybody know, Jaydub, he's one of the highest ranking officials in the Pegasus Nation. I ain't even got no title. I'm just a lowly peon in the Pegasus Nation. But I'm happy to be up in this motherfucker. I tell you that. Look here, man. This is where the action is. So here's the
Facts.
thing. So y'all know Jaydub gave me that Pegasus contract.
Yes,
But
sir.
I was kept out of the Pegasus Nation for two reasons. I don't know how long I was out, but finally they was like, okay, we'll let you slide on that. And the two reasons that I was not originally let into Pegasus Nation is because I am fond of Game Pass and I want to change my own batteries. Okay, that kept me out for a minute. But we worked
Mm.
past that. We worked all that out. I done gave up the batteries, and now so that's gone. But the only thing now, like I'm still a fan of Game Pass. And here's the thing, brother.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we have to be honest. OBM said it the best, in my opinion. OBM said it the best on Luca's stream today.
Mm-hmm.
As things change and as the gaming industry evolves and adapts, and as gamers evolve and adapt, there will be some developers and some publishers that make deals in Game Pass, and
Mm-hmm.
those deals will not be good for them.
Mm.
And that's just growing with the way change happens. There will also be some developers and some publishers with deals in Game Pass where those deals work wonders for them. And so it's not really Game Pass is good or Game Pass is bad. It's just going to depend on each developer's situation. I
Yeah.
think the bigger problem is what you were saying and what we were just alluding to. I think the bigger problem is that with or without Game Pass, that side of the gaming community just doesn't support these games, and they just don't. And like you said, we tried to have AAA titles on that platform for years. Microsoft stopped releasing numbers and we like 2015, 20, I don't
Yeah.
remember, but
Yeah.
I think it was 2015. Again, I don't
When
hold me to that date, but
mm-hmm.
Microsoft, before then, we had Aaron Greenberg just trumpeting sales and look
Yeah.
how good Halo
MPDs and
sold.
everything else. Yeah.
Right, all of it, right? Like they were just doing their thing. Eventually, they stopped with the numbers.
Mm.
Why? Because that fan base were not supporting these titles. They were doing things to bring things to the platform. Gamers were not supporting these titles.
Yeah.
So then they came up, okay, with the subscription model. How about if we can just get a monthly fee, have access to this wide number of games? So now this is the next thing they're trying. So you asked Infamous two questions, and I want to answer both of those questions right now.
Mm-hmm.
The first question you asked Infamous was, is this sustainable? How long will they go on doing this without trying to make a profit? Or it might have been Smoke you asked it to, but I think it was
Yeah.
Infamous. Either way, so the Xbox division is not going anywhere. Like, let's be clear, they have dropped some things, but Xbox, the division, is not going anywhere. You've
Mm-hmm.
had the CEO come out twice now and let investors and gamers know Microsoft is with Xbox. Why did they do that? To reassure gamers and to reassure investors the Xbox division is not going anywhere. So all these conversations about where's Xbox going, how long will it last?
Yeah.
Xbox is going to last as long as Microsoft lasts, which is a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And but keep in mind now, like I said the other day on Brad's podcast,
Mm-hmm.
you have never heard the CEO of Microsoft come out and say we stand with Excel or we stand with Office 365. We stand with Outlook. Why?
Yeah.
Because none of those properties are in trouble. He's
Absolutely.
not coming out talking about how much we standing by Office
Or
365.
Windows. Yeah. Or
Yeah, why?
Windows.
Like,
Yeah.
man, stop it. There is no need
Yeah.
because those investments are paying off.
So
So, yeah.
with that being said, right?
Uh
Just a
huh.
little rebuttal.
Uh huh.
You made a very
Well, hold on.
valid.
Let me
Go
get my
ahead.
second. Let me
Okay. Go
finish it
ahead.
before you rebut.
Go
So
ahead.
here's the thing: the Xbox division won't be like it is now, though. That is
Mm-hmm.
the key. Keep in
That's
mind, like
true.
there's different versions of this story floating around. There is a version that I've heard that I actually personally believe is true.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft was never ready to get rid of the Xbox division. Microsoft was ready to turn the Xbox division into focusing on mobile games and stuff like that because that's where the money is.
Ooh, you
Microsoft,
right. Ooh,
yeah,
that's
Microsoft
yeah.
paid attention. Like again, I'm
Oh
telling you
man.
something that I heard directly. Microsoft looked at the numbers and realized that Apple is number 3 in the world in game revenue, but Apple doesn't make a single game.
Yeah.
Why? Because they have a platform for distributing games and they let other people distribute games on their platform, but they themselves don't actually make any games and it's all mobile on their mobile devices. Apple right
Mm.
now is number 3. Well, maybe not right now, but back when this conversation was happening, they were
Mm-hmm.
number 3 um, in games revenue. What does this mean? There's an opportunity for Microsoft. You keep hearing Sean Layden, you hear Phil and Matt Booty in their own way saying the cost of game development is rising. Not for mobile development, it's not. Mobile development is actually really lucrative. It
Yeah.
takes a lot smaller team, a
Yep.
lot less hardware, a lot less specialization, and all of these things. The reason that the Xbox community, I mean, we give them, we talk about them for it, we make fun of them. But the reason the Xbox community really has a lot of respect for Phil Spencer is because he came up with a plan to save console gaming
Mm.
at
Mm.
Microsoft. He didn't save Xbox, he saved console gaming on Xbox. All of that stuff is true. He found a way, or at least he's
Yeah.
trying to anyway. He's trying to find a way to keep console gaming around
Yeah.
and still make money. All of the regular stuff. That's his job to do is to make money for his owners, right? That
Yeah,
is
that's
his
because
job.
Xbox has evolved. It's no longer
It
consist of
has
just a
to.
console. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, and the
Okay.
reason for all of that stuff, my Pegasus brother, is
Mm-hmm.
because these Xbox fans were not supporting the traditional way, and you hear them talk about it all the time. They not really with the traditional model. They are
Yeah.
adapting. They are doing a new thing. It's not because of design, like they had to. They were forced to find a new way. It may
Yeah.
work or it may not, but at the end of the day, Xbox ain't going nowhere, but
Yeah.
Xbox could be very different than what we know today. Investments in Roblox and Minecraft, all
Yeah.
of that shit has a really big return for a much smaller investment. Look at Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Man, come on now. At some point, they will be like, okay, enough is enough. We're shifting focus. So that's
Yeah.
why they focusing on the mobile stuff. You keep hearing him say the 3 billion gamers because he has convinced leadership that, hey,
Mm-hmm.
there's a way to get the mobile stuff and console gaming. Like we don't have to sacrifice it. So that's
Makes
my
sense.
answer to that, brother. It won't
Thank
be
you,
the
man.
Xbox we know, but
Yeah.
it will be around.
Iteration. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate
All
that.
right, bro.
All righty. Let's go to relaxing, and then we're gonna go to Brack. Uh, relaxing. Talk to me, my brother.
What's
How
up,
y'all
my
doing?
brother?
What's going on? What's going on with you?
Kratos, aka Jaydub.
Facts. Tell me what your thoughts of this stuff is, man. I
First,
just want to listen. You know.
first, I want to say, Code came over, took over the show, started talking a lot. Code, you always been a part of the Pegasus friend group because I really appreciate you, and I think you are really good at list. You have a lot of conviction, and I appreciate you telling like it is, whether it's good for PlayStation or bad for PlayStation. That being said, I wanted to come in just kind of talk a little bit about Game Pass, and you talked about how you feel like the uh, the amount of people on the Xbox side who plays these games are very low.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I just using myself as an example, if I don't have any skin in the game, there's less commitment for myself, and I feel
Ooh.
like a lot of the
Ooh. Good
people
point.
on the Xbox side are gotten themselves to the point where they feel like they don't have any skin in the game. Therefore, they don't really care about playing these games as long as a typical person would. Like I was playing Returnal. I bought it day
Mm-hmm.
one. It
Yeah.
took me a month and a half to beat that game. Let me tell you why. I got my
Mm-hmm.
ass whooped in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Just destroyed. And I was like, ah, God dang it. You know what? I'm done. I'm putting it
Yeah.
down. I felt like I was Kid Smooth. I was like, I'm quitting
Facts.
this game. But
Facts.
you know what? I remembered I put $70 down on this game.
You got some skin in the game now.
And I was like, you know what? I gotta really play this game. I just need to send the kids to bed, get my butt in the living room, sit down, cut the game on, make sure the wife is sleeping, and play the
Facts.
game. And I did. And I beat the game, not quite platinum yet, but man, oh man, I would have missed out on a great game just because
Absolutely.
I was so fed up with the game getting my butt whooped. Now, before I go, bring him back up, Kid Smooth. You know, how many times you see him tweet about, oh, this game ain't for me, and then he quits. He play a game, and then he quits again. He play another game, and he quit that game. Then he play another game, and he quit that game. You know why? Because he can't. All the games that he playing is basically what he considers renting. He's renting the game. And when he's done with it, he just kick it out the door and he's ready for the next game. But how many developers put their time, their energy into a game that, just like Returnal, that would have been a fantastic game if you was able to take the time to actually go through the game and beat it. But because you don't have that skin in the game, you don't have that commitment.
Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. And just to add to that, we do know, because Sony put it out there, that games like The Last of Us 2 and some of the other first party games, so basically Sony Games is a huge completion ratio. It's a huge amount of playtime and stuff like that. So I know the PlayStation has got a rep from the Xbox community. It's been creating a bunch of one and done games, right?
Right.
But those one and dones have more engagement. You look at Gears Hive Busters, right? Great looking piece of DLC for Gears 5. Great showpiece for the X Series X, world's most powerful console. But with that being said, the engagements of that, I think, for just playing the game for the first 10 minutes, it gives you a completion. It gives you a trophy, and stuff like the achievement.
Right.
But it was like 3%. So 3% of the Gears 5 gamers actually got that achievement, and
Which is crazy.
it was easy, and it's crazy. And
Crazy.
so that goes back to the conversation that we have. How long will Microsoft keep spending these millions and millions of dollars to give these gamers these content and stuff like that, and they just don't mess with them? And I know a lot of people are going to come up with excuses. Well, there's other things to play, or well, I'm just tired of Gears, or well, this and this. But this is your first party. You can't blame this on a small indie developer, right? This is your like your second biggest IP ever.
Right.
It's a showpiece for the X Series X at this point in time. And if you don't engage with that, then I don't know what else you're going to. I don't know what else is there, right? And I think I'm going to be honest. I think Halo Infinite will be the telltale sign. That will tell us, because that is their flagship. That is their The Last
Right.
of Us 2. That is their Uncharted. That is their biggest game. There is no bigger game on from Xbox outside of that, right?
Right.
So that's going to tell us, right? Do people want to play the campaign? Are they willing to engage with the multiplayer? I don't know. So I'm anxiously waiting to see how that game is going to come out.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully it's received very well. Hopefully it plays very well. Hopefully everything goes great. But if it doesn't, man, I think we're going to see a shift change in a way. Maybe what Cole was alluding to, that Xbox itself evolves to something that's different, because obviously the way it is now is not engaged, it's not played, it's not supported for the
Right.
most part, right?
Right.
And then keep in mind, Xbox has a very small install base. Last generation they sold 48.2 million Xbox Ones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's half the install base it had the previous generation.
Which sucks,
So,
man.
which
That's
right
sad.
now, right? So now your install base is 48.2. That means you're selling games and consoles to a maximum of 48.2 million people. So that means this generation, generally, you're going to sell even less than that.
Right.
So maybe that's why they are going to go down a mobile route, because with the mobile route, man, you have Japan, you have China, you have a whole vast array of new gamers out there,
Right.
that you can look at. Look what Nintendo did. They went from making the big consoles to compete with PlayStation and Xbox and stuff on the high end,
Yeah, they
to
pivot.
just going that mobility route, which they did. It's a hybrid design, but it's
Right.
still part of that the handheld thing, right? They found a lane that they can thrive in, and
which
they
they
don't
have been
cross
doing
that
for years,
threshold.
right?
Exactly. So they're in their own way. That's why Nintendo is always they're always sheltered because they're
Right.
they're in gaming, and they continue to do what they do, but they're in the handheld space,
Right.
and Sony and Microsoft don't want to be in that space, so they're shielded. They don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Now,
Right.
right now, we're dealing with with PlayStation and Xbox, and for the meantime, Xbox is in that high end. It's competing for the high end space, right? It's the world's most powerful console, right? It's the world's most expensive console at this point in time for high end gaming.
Mm-hmm.
So that, hey,
I mean, it's a
it is
shame.
what it is.
It's a shame. One last thing here, and then I'll let someone else speak. When I'm thinking about the skin in the game, I mean, if you ever, anyone who started their own business know that they put their blood, their sweat, and tears when they're passionate about something, right?
Yeah.
But if you're getting handouts, it brings me to what Code said earlier in the conversation. He said that there's going to be two kinds of people who's going to basically partner up with Game Pass, and
Hmm.
some of those partnerships will be a benefit for that particular game developer, and there's going to be ones that is going to be horrible for that game developer. And it seemed like the one with Square Enix with Outriders, that was horrible for them. But
Yeah.
you know, when you're having a company or let's say an upstarted developer
Hmm.
who knows, that they're going to just get this money, they got a contract with Game Pass.
Hmm.
They're not going to go at. I hope not. This is my hope, but this
Yeah.
is what I'm thinking about human nature. When you got a guaranteed paycheck, no matter what you do,
Yeah.
you may not create that extra level. You may not go that extra
Absolutely.
detail. You may
Absolutely.
not make the
Absolutely.
gameplay a little bit better because you may not spend the money on play testers who to come to your studio to play test the game over and over again, criticizing your game so you can make it better. You may not do that. And therefore, you get your paycheck, you go ahead and sign that bill and you send your game to Game Pass. And then you get people playing the game and they're like, oh, this game's crap. And they
Yeah.
dump your game and go play another game.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
that's
you, man.
sad.
I appreciate it. You were spot on, man. I kind of I'm thinking with what you're saying, and I'm along those lines with you.
All right, brother.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
man. Take it easy. Okay, we got Brap, my brother. You're up next, and then we got King Thrash, my brother. Enrique, what's good, player? What's good?
Sure about this Pegasus Nation stuff, man. I don't know. I hear Code talking about it all the time, and I kind of know why you didn't let him in originally. It's because he's old and his breath stinks. But we're not going to get into all that. Let me stop,
Oh
man.
man,
Hey, I'm Code's biggest hater. I'm his biggest fan at the same time, man.
for
Um,
sure, for sure.
yeah, no. You know what, Jaydub? The Game Pass thing, man. So it's I heard some really interesting points here. I think that someone said, I think someone said something about what if developers, people don't play their games during Game Pass, and I'm sure developers that would imagine that probably doesn't or that wouldn't make many developers feel good, right?
Hmm.
That there's little engagement. But one thing with Game Pass, so developers are, from my understanding, are
Hmm.
being paid money. They're being paid whatever dollars. I don't know what that formula looks like. I don't know if it's based on what they think they're going to sell if they go to the market, but they are getting paid money to bring those games to Game Pass, right?
Yes,
So
a
so the
percentage
developer or publisher, whatever,
a
yeah,
percentage of their projections.
yeah. So they're getting that now. I think the interesting thing with Game Pass is, and I think it was the previous individual who was speaking. I forget his name now. Um, but he mentioned something about skin in the game, and I brought this up in a conversation earlier I had with my man OBM. I said, it's interesting because I think one of the potential challenges with Game Pass, and from maybe a developer standpoint, is that I think if you don't create a game that really engages people right away,
Hmm.
that really grabs their attention. This happened to me recently with the game The Ascent, by the way. Um, if you don't do that, and someone's like, "Okay, I've been playing this game for a half hour. Yeah, I don't know. Because sometimes games do get better. Like I'm sure you had those experiences, Jay, where you're like, "Oh man, this game, I don't know, the first half hour," and then like you get to an hour and 15,
Picks up.
and
Yeah, it
and
picks
you're
up.
like, "Oh man, I'm glad I stuck with it." That may not happen in Game Pass because it may be a situation where you're like, you know what? I don't know. This game was free, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to go with something else. There's other options for me where I don't have to, fork out $60 or $70, right?
Yeah.
And that's again, that's not a. People are going to think that I'm bashing Game Pass. It's not meant to insult Game Pass. It's more of an observation of some of the challenges maybe developers could be facing in terms of making a game. Because again, this happened to me with the Ascent. The Ascent came out, and I tried it, and I'm like, oh, this game, I don't know. And then what happened? Hades dropped, and I'm like, bye, Ascent. I'm going to play some Hades.
Exactly.
And I haven't gone back to it. But I do think, Jay, I think that here's my thoughts on Game Pass and how it fits in the industry, man. I think that it's going to be part of the industry. I don't think it's going to. I see some people saying it's going to be dominating the industry. It's the future. It's one piece of the future, but it's not going to be the future, the only future per se.
Okay, so it can coexist.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to coexist, and I think it's going to be for certain people. Clearly, it's not for everyone because it doesn't have 100% attach rate with with Microsoft or with Xbox, right? Not every Xbox platform owner owns game or has Game Pass. The other thing is, if Microsoft doesn't see engagement, that's up to them to figure out too. Like they need to make games that really speak to people, that drive that engagement. That's on them, man. And that's going to be that's going to be interesting to see how they do that, especially with these new studios. They have a lot of studios. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of content they put out. I do think they're going to put out some, AAA games and narrative-driven experiences. I think Bethesda is really going to probably feed a lot of stuff into Game Pass.
Yeah.
But it's going to also be interesting how they curate all that too, right?
Yeah.
Because look, I love having all the games in the world. Sometimes too much is too much at the same time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
And I can vouch for that. Like when I go to a restaurant, they hand me a menu. If there's 300 things on the menu, I never know what I want. But if I go to a nice steakhouse or something like
You're
that,
describing Cheesecake Factory, Jay.
absolutely, they only offer you like 5 things, a dessert, and some sides, and that's about it. And I love that because you take away those choices from it because it's just Well,
But
thanks, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say one more thing too, man. The other thing I was going to say is that it's going to be it's interesting you mentioned engagement or people playing games. I think you brought up Gears.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not saying that Xbox gamers aren't playing games, but at least on my friends list, and I know this is probably anecdotal at best, I'm on my friends list. I'm playing.
Uh-oh. Brap, we lost you, Brap. We lost you, brother. Come on home. Oh man, it looks like Phil Spencer took him out. Ladies and gentlemen, let me add my brother Post Up and King Thrash. We gonna talk about it. Come on in, my brothers.
What?
No. Well, his connection dropped for whatever reason. Post Up, come on in here. Hey, well, I got King Thrash and Post Up, my two brothers.
What are we doing here, brother?
What's up, brother?
Hey, nah. Mute Post Up.
You done
Oh
round
shit.
up the PlayStation. You got a
Mute
bunch of
this nigga.
PlayStation dudes in here talking about Xbox. What are we doing here?
Nigga, you spent all day. You spent all day talking about abandon, my nigga. What are you talking about?
How did you attribute
Mm-hmm.
an issue between People Can Fly and Square Enix to Game Pass? Right?
Well, we're talking about
find out the connection because the agreement said that they should have received royalties by the first quarter, which was August 16th, 2021. It's August 17th. That's only 24 hours. It's only a 24-hour period.
Bro, if you don't get paid, if your paycheck is due and you don't get it in 24 hours, are you tripping?
Let me finish.
Shut your dumb ass up.
They also said they estimated, meaning that they don't have the official numbers of the sales from their publishers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of they should have had months ago.
Well, we don't know how that works. Do you?
Nigga, then why is you talking? Nigga, then why is you talking if we don't know? Shut your ass up. Speak on what you know.
Have you ever published a
the game, brother.
Nigga,
No,
have you
you
ever
have.
played the game? Nigga, what you
Would you
talking
be
about? Nigga,
quiet?
your gamer score
I'm
is like
going off the
22,000. Shut up, nigga. You
But
don't
I'm
even
going
game.
off I'm going off the context of the article. I read, which you and Kratos seem not to do.
Nigga,
You
I
two
read
go
the
off
whole article.
headlines.
I read,
You
you
two go
don't
off
even know what I'm
headlines.
about to say.
Look, let me finish. I'm
Nigga,
not finna talk to a dude who thought the Series S was a speaker.
you get,
We're not finna
hey,
do
me
that.
and DJ
We're not finna
Khaled
do
got
that.
that same
We
mindset,
we
nigga.
not
It
finna
looked
do
like a
that. We're
fucking
not finna
speaker,
do that.
nigga.
You called it a speaker,
Hey,
and you said they was
post
compete
up, post up.
with
You called yourself
monitors
a
that
gamer,
had
bro. You
speakers.
called yourself a gamer
You
and you
said
don't
the
game.
Series S was competing with
Your
monitors
kids
that
play
had
your
speakers,
Xbox more
bruh.
than you, my nigga.
You let me get my shit off, man.
All
We
right,
ain't
go.
finna interrupt you,
Hurry
man.
up,
Let me
nigga.
get my
Hurry
shit
up.
off. I'm just trying to see where Kratos is going with this, cause I don't see how you're attributing them not getting their money or them not getting the total numbers of what they sold to Game Pass failing developers. I'm trying to feel how this connect together. Am I
This
am I
nigga stupid.
am I the only one in here that don't see the connection?
Yes, you're
Huh?
the only one,
Yeah,
nigga.
yeah, well, you
Yes.
probably got a room full of ponies discussing Xbox. I don't see Xbox. You know,
Then get your ass out, nigga. Why you here, nigga?
I'm just
Get
here
your ass
because
out and chill with your homies,
I
nigga.
can.
The
I
fuck out of
can
here,
be
nigga.
Well,
here.
I,
I
I
can
think
be here.
I think
Let
I
me
think the
let
bigger
Kratos
picture, but
answer my question, player.
I think the bigger picture, right? You got this
Mhm.
incident, and then you have the CEO
Uh-huh.
of Take Two, and then you
Mhm.
have Sean Layton. You know, industry people are saying that Game Pass really isn't viable, and then you got
Sean
so
Sean
it's
Layton
a
was talking about
combination, and
Xbox.
then you got Microsoft not announcing any Game Pass numbers since what last year or something or early part of the year. So the people want to know. Post up like.
Look. I attribute what Sean Layton. I don't attribute that to
Hey,
Xbox.
post up. Let me ask you a
I
question. Let
attribute
me ask you
that.
a real
I
question.
attribute.
Let me ask you a real
Hold on.
question, though, nigga. How
I
ashy is
attribute
your
what.
kneecaps, my nigga?
Hold on.
Because you've been
I
using those
attribute.
motherfuckers
Hold
on
on.
still all day,
I
my nigga.
attribute
Like,
what
what's going
Sean
on?
Layton was talking about to PlayStation. That's why I attribute that. He was talking about PlayStation, meaning that the internal turmoil that they had
Turmoil,
between
nigga.
Sean,
Turmoil is how you
the
say it, nigga.
intern.
Turmoil,
Let me
nigga. Get it right, nigga.
talk, bro.
The fuck?
The internal turmoil that they had choosing between Sean Layton's direction, which was more of a traditional model, and then Jim Ryan model, which is a numbers guy, which is the same as Phil, that came in the next day after, took PS Now down to $10, started putting PS4 AAA games on the service. Now is talking about allowing their user base to play PS5 games independent of a PS5, going in the direction of cloud gaming. I think that's who Sean Layton was throwing a jab at,
Hey,
saying
post up,
that
Oh, okay.
post
Sony
up,
chose
post
the
up,
wrong,
post up, post up.
saying
Who
Sony
broke
chose
records
the
and who
wrong
didn't?
direction. I
Microsoft,
don't think that
Microsoft
had
is already
anything to
in this
do with Game
direction,
Pass.
and they are
I don't
losing,
think
my
they
nigga.
had
Every step of the way, they have
losing
been losing,
what?
my nigga.
Losing what, King?
Everything, nigga. What have they sold, nigga? The
What
Xbox
is they
One
saying?
sold more
Look,
than
bro,
this, and
let
they
me
didn't
tell
even
you
have
something.
Game Pass, nigga.
Bro, let me
This
tell you
shit got
something. You
Game
one of them,
Pass, and it ain't even
bro,
moving, my
you one
nigga.
of them, bro.
Stop it.
Every time
You know how
you
many
one of them
speakers I
dudes.
seen in Best Buy today?
Look,
Do you know how
you
many
one of them.
speakers I seen in Best Buy today,
I
nigga?
don't do that. I got more
Get your ass the
better
fuck
things
up,
to do
nigga.
with my
Talking about
time.
numbers, nigga.
You
You want to
shut
talk
the
about
fuck.
numbers?
Let's talk about you one of them PlayStation dudes that every time they
Nigga,
announce a
I got an
game,
Xbox too, nigga. I
Microsoft
got
is
an
leaving
Xbox,
the
nigga, and it's
industry.
abandoned on my motherfucking counter, nigga.
Yeah,
The
you
fuck you
spend
mean?
$400 to search people profiles. What that make you out to be?
Nigga,
You
hey,
spend
I
four
can't
hundred
help it. I
dollars
can't
on
help
the
that your
system.
achievement count is pretty low, my nigga. I
No,
can't
we're
help.
not doing this.
Nigga, turn your
You
volume up,
spend
nigga.
you
The fuck
spend
ain't my
four
fault,
hundred
nigga.
dollars on the
Play some
system you
games,
don't
nigga. Stop
like.
worrying about it, nigga. Play some
Look,
games.
you the same nigga that say, well, would nobody buy
Nigga, I
Xbox
don't
for
start
this
my
game
sentences
because
with
it ain't
well, nigga.
working?
I don't.
Hold
You
on,
got me confused. I don't
Let me
start my
finish. Let me
sentences with
finish.
well, nigga.
Let me finish. You the type of dude that
Mm.
say, well, nobody buy Xbox for this game, but you'll buy Xbox to search people's profile. How stupid is that, bro? How
Mm.
stupid
Hey,
is that?
you sound low key hurt that I checked your profile and
A
saw that you don't
system
play
you
no
don't even
motherfucking
like.
games,
I
nigga.
don't care about
Hey,
that.
have
That's
you
what
beat Gears yet? Hey,
my
you're a
profile
Gears
is
fan.
still
You said you
open.
were a Gears fan. Have you beat
My
Gears yet,
profile is
nigga?
still open.
Have
My
you beat
profile is still
nigga,
open, bro.
nigga,
You don't
you
play
beat
games.
garbage ass motherfucking
You
outriders
don't
before you
play
beat
games,
Gears, my
Stress.
nigga. The
You
fuck
don't
out of
play
here.
games.
Nigga, you
You
just
don't
beat a
play
bandit.
games.
Who don't play games? Who
You
don't play
don't
games?
play games.
Hold on,
Your
I got a
a
game on. I got
couple.
two
Let me
games
tell you
on right
something.
now,
Let
nigga.
me tell you something.
The
Let me tell
fuck?
you something. A couple ponies came to me because they got your PlayStation profile and
Nigga,
they
my
was like,
PlayStation
"Post,
profile is
hold on,
open. It's King Thrash. That's my
I
PSN.
know,
Everybody in here can
Let
check
me
it
just
right
say,
now. See me on God of
let me
War.
just
We
say
beating
something.
that.
See, if I was on your
Mm.
type of time, I would have took that information that they
Poster, you
gave
don't
me
play
and
no game.
exposed
Nigga,
it.
how many
But I
hours you
don't
got
do what you
in
do.
Flight Simulator,
I
my
don't do
nigga?
what you
Hey,
do.
how many
I don't
hours you
do
got
what
in
you
Flight
do.
Simulator, my nigga?
I don't do what
How
you
many
do.
hours you got in Flight Simulator,
Stop
my
worrying
nigga?
about what other
How many
grown men
hours
do
you
with
got in
their
Flight
time,
Simulator,
Terrell.
my nigga? I know how many hours. Do you know how many hours you got in Flight
Yeah,
Simulator,
I
my
know
nigga?
how many hours
How
I
many
got.
hours you got in that shit?
I ain't even download the
Yeah.
game. Just because I'm an Xbox, that don't mean I gotta like
That's the only
everything.
game, nigga. Y'all keep talking about we got games coming,
No,
and then when they
look,
come, it turns out
King,
just like Outriders, nigga. You don't even
look,
play
King,
no
Oh,
shits.
look,
Okay?
look,
Now,
King,
can I
look,
get my
look,
point
look, look,
through?
Thrash.
Or what? Is you
Look,
done?
King
Is you
ass,
done or
King
you
ass,
finished, nigga? Which one?
King ass. If you would let me speak, King
King
ass,
ass,
I
nigga.
haven't
God,
even
nigga, I
finished
ain't with the
one time,
homo
bro.
shit y'all Xbox
Come on
niggas do.
now,
That's grid, nigga.
come
This
on,
you in grid,
come on.
bro. Come on,
I
dog.
know,
Don't
I
mm,
know.
confuse us.
Yeah. And the King ass, the King ass, the King trash. Like I said in the first line of the song. Let me tell you something. I'm just trying to see the connection between the issue between Square Enix and People Can Fly and Game Pass.
Okay,
That's all I'm
I'll tell
trying
you
to
what it
see.
is, my nigga. If you
And
let
I'm
me
asking
speak,
Kratos.
if
I
you
ain't
let me
asking you. He
speak,
the host,
no,
my nigga.
nigga, I
yeah.
was
He the
here to
host.
speak too. I was here to speak
He the
too.
host.
Let me give you my point of view because you just gave
You
your
never
shit,
make
and your
sense.
point of
You
view
never
is
make sense,
your
Thrash.
point
You
is
never make
you
sense,
just
brother.
trying to defend Game Pass, bro.
You
It's
never
okay.
make sense, Thrash.
No,
It ain't defending. I asked a
let me
question.
speak. Let me
It ain't
speak.
defending. It's
Let me
asking for
speak,
perspective.
and
It's
then
a
you
difference.
Well,
hey, let me
Thrash gonna
say,
go ahead
yeah,
and
let me
You
say
speak
his
come
mine,
point, and then
interrupting
I'm
me and
gonna
and
ask
go
then
me
you
to
ahead
can
and
let
let you
judge
him
it,
get the
speak.
last word. Post,
nigga.
you
Go
get the
ahead.
last word after
You get
Go
yeah,
ahead.
you post. You can get the
He
last word.
interrupted me,
Post,
but he want me to let him speak. But go ahead.
post. You get the last word.
Go
You get
ahead,
the
brother.
last word. Trust.
Go ahead, brother.
You get the
Go ahead,
last
brother.
word. Just like your gaming shit. You always last, my nigga. It's all good.
Hmm
You get the last
I
word.
know.
You know your place.
I know.
yes.
All right.
You got an Xbox though.
Look. It's like this.
You got an Xbox though. Go ahead.
I got every console. Nigga. The fuck, I got a PVR sitting right here, holding my TV up next to my Xbox. But,
Go ahead.
but, like I said earlier, nigga, this is a win-loss situation for Game Pass, right? They won this negotiation, right? They got more publicity for the Game Pass when they got Outriders than Outriders did as the game itself, right? What motherfuckers not realizing is there's different kinds of player engagement. There's different kind of player count. You got the Game Pass player count, which is full of gamers who don't give a fuck about what they're playing. If they don't like it, if they're bored, they're more easily bored with the game because they feel like it's free when they renting it. But then they get a
Hmm
plethora. You get a plethora of games on top of that release around the same time. Whereas if you buy Outriders outright, there's a more of a dedication. You're a different type of player count. Not only did you just pay them money to have this game, they're more obligated to continue playing. That's why Square Enix, if you listen to what these niggas said, they was happy with the player count because of Game Pass, right? They were happy because of that. But player count ain't what make them money. It's the potential of money that they can make from that player count. That player
Hmm.
count is in the beginning is always gonna be high, and then 10 days later be low as a motherfucker, and you can scale how good your game is going to be because of it,
hmm
right? People are
Hmm.
saying that Game Pass. I say Game Pass is at fault. Fuck what everybody else think, right? I say Game
hmm
Pass is at fault, not for the negotiations of what they did and the situation with
Hmm.
Outriders. Where Game Pass is going to pay at is that now developers are starting to see that it's not a viable place to make money. Period. So what
Hmm.
Microsoft is going to have to do is live off the strength of their first party games, and we all know that their first party games ain't it. It's the worst
hmm
set of games. Their first party games.
Subjective.
Let
Subjective.
me talk. Let me finish. Their first
Okay, go
party
ahead.
games are less desirable than third party games, and it's the only
Hmm
system in console
hmm
history to where its first party games are less desirable than third party. If you look at Nintendo, Mario more desirable than any third party game available on that system. If you look at PlayStation, we can clearly see that their first party games are more desirable. When the 360 was out, their first
Hmm.
party games was more desirable. Now, look at Halo.
Yeah.
Look at Halo. You know what I'm saying? People are like, whatever. You giggling. Hey, you giggling. You
Yo,
giggling.
you
But the
funny
fact,
as
no,
hell
I'm
though.
being
Keep
honest,
going
bro.
though. Keep
No,
going.
listen.
You
I'm being
funny as
honest.
hell, but keep
Listen,
going.
hold on.
Keep going.
I'm being honest, bro. I'm being honest.
Mm.
This is the least hype motherfucking Halo I've ever seen in my life, and I've been there since the first
What?
Halo. What?
Hmm.
Okay, what Halo? What Halo
Keep
did this
going.
Halo get
Get
the
your
most
point
hype from?
across.
Who
Get your
Okay.
fights for
point
him?
off,
Let's
bro.
okay, Thrash.
Get your point
Listen.
off.
You made a really great point. You made a really great point, brother. Let's I'm gonna give Post the last word here
Hey,
before I go on to the next person.
All right, go ahead.
But you
Go
made
ahead,
a very
Lance.
very bad
Yeah,
point,
you know I
and
had to come
hopefully
in
he
here
can
and talk
answer
my
that, man.
shit.
We
You
appreciate
don't
you,
win.
Thrash, brother.
Let me
no,
tell you
no
something.
problem, no problem.
No, I had to come in here and talk my shit. I want to say this.
Okay, there you go, Post.
Square.
You got the floor all to yourself, my brother.
Okay.
I need to hear
Um,
I need to hear the truth
the one
from
what,
Post.
what he was saying about player acquisition and player count, I disagree with. Square Enix was happy that the player count was up on Game Pass because it exposed a new launch title, not a
Mm-hmm.
title that's prominent, not a title that's well known in the community, none
Mm-hmm.
of that. A new title that just came out. It exposed that brand new title to a wealth amount of people, to a numerous amount of people, and it gave them, and Game Pass gave those people the option and the ability to play that game for free, to one, determine if they like it and enjoy it, and two, determine if they want to purchase or not. So let's not forget, Game Pass doesn't stop you from purchasing anything. Just because the game is in Game Pass doesn't mean it's going to stay there forever anyway. And we don't know what's in the contractual obligations in terms of how long Outriders will remain in
Mm-hmm.
Game Pass. So at some point, if a person is playing that game and he knows that every 30 days we have games rotating throughout in and out of Game Pass, he
Yeah.
might say, I like Outriders enough to purchase it. So when it leaves Game Pass, I can maintain playing it. That's what
Okay.
Square Enix got from that large number of people playing that game. That's what
Okay,
they got.
so let me ask you this, and you make a
Mhm,
very valid point,
mhm,
and I think a lot of that is true.
mhm,
But let's say this: that game Outriders was in Game Pass. It did
mhm,
its 30 days in Game Pass. It had a lot
mhm,
of engagements and stuff like that,
mhm.
and they, obviously Microsoft paid Square Enix a certain
I don't
amount.
know what Microsoft did
Yeah,
because it's paying the
but in
developers.
any
It's
any
not only
developer.
the incentives.
Uh huh.
Paying the developers is not the only incentives that
Hmm.
developers are shown when Microsoft is approaching them to put their game in Game Pass. Phil stated that there's multiple incentives that
Uh huh.
developers can choose on why they choose to put their game in Game Pass. Kratos, can I
Okay.
say this?
Yes, sir.
Marvel Alliance, right?
Uh huh. Uh
It was
huh.
considered the most played game on PS Now, along with Bloodborne.
Uh
But
huh.
yet it still didn't return a profit. So a lot of people in PlayStation got access to that game on PS Now. Did
They
PS
didn't.
Now push them to support or pay that game, even though it was
Well,
the
I
most played
think
game on PS Now?
I post, but I think to even Thrash's point and some of the other people point is
Mm-hmm.
those PlayStation gamers bought those games full price on the platform, and just because Sony had a offering of PlayStation of those games in PlayStation Now, those gamers saw fit to just buy the games flat out instead of subscribing to a service to play them. And I think that's the difference between
It,
Xbox and Game Pass
it,
versus Sony's
it's
fan base in PlayStation Now.
Kratos.
That's what I think.
I think that's wrong because I just told you Game
Hmm.
Pass doesn't prevent people from purchasing games. Actually, it gives you a discount on the game if you choose a 10% discount on the game, and I think 20% discount on the DLC if you purchase that game while it's in
But I
Game
think,
Pass, brother.
but post, I think that's negligible because you're spending $15 a month for it. So I mean, just to think about it, right? That $15, that's that 10% discount that you're getting discounted anyway. You're paying that anyway. So it's not like the service is free. You are paying
I
that
never said the
$15
service.
every
I never said the
single
service
month.
was free. Boney said that.
No,
I
no,
never
no, no,
said it's
no.
free. Oh,
Absolutely. But I
but
was trying to prove that point because just like EA Access, right?
mhm,
If you pay for EA Access, they give you the 10%
they give
discount
you the 10%
of buying the
discount.
game,
Yeah,
but
you
that
still
just
paying
saves
the
you the
$5 a
taxes, which
month
is
or
still
whatever.
the $10 that you was paying anyway. So that's why I
Yeah.
kind of always look at that as a wishy-washy. Now, I was under the assumption, and maybe you have corrected me on this, and maybe I understand now, but I was under the perception that Microsoft approaches these developers, whether it's indie or AAA or AA or whatever, and say, hey, I want you to bring your games to my platform. I'm going to pay you a certain percentage of which you projected that you were going to sell on my platform anyway. So let's say if a developer say I'm gonna sell 1 million, I projected that I was going to sell 1 million copies of my game on Xbox anyway. Well, if Phil say I'll pay you 60% of that 100%, so I'll give you $600,000 to put your game in my store, in my Game Pass, make it available for my fan base. That guarantees you $600,000 because that $1 million or that million copies sold, that's what you projected. That's not necessarily what you were going to do anyway. So that's safe, right? I thought that was the model, but now you're telling me
it's
that
not. It's different because
Phil he
now
can pick and choose on the
yeah,
different type of stuff that he.
no, it's not Phil can pick and choose. It's a develop, and not all the times Xbox is going out to these developers. Some developers are coming to Xbox because they feel that their game fits their Game Pass model or needs it. What I heard is that it could be maybe they pay for some of the game sales. It can be I heard they even pay for some of the cost to develop the game. That
Uh-huh.
some developers get their development costs. Microsoft take on some of that development costs
Hey,
for
Post, who
their
you hear that
games to
from?
be in Game Pass. I also
Who
heard that
who you heard that
some.
from?
I
Real quick,
also
though. I don't mean to
I'm not.
interrupt, but who
I
you heard
can't.
that
I'm
from?
not putting it out there like that. I'm not fit to do that. I'm not fit to do that. I'm not fit to do that. I also heard it can be. I also
You're not
heard
finna
about
tell us
per.
who you heard it from, my
I
nigga. So
also
like,
heard
if you
per
making shit up,
download.
did you
I'm
hear
not.
it?
I'm
Then?
not making
It's
shit up, bro.
probably inside information, King.
It
I'm
gotta
not
be
making
inside
shit up.
information.
I'm not making shit up. But I'm just
Okay,
saying.
then nigga, who your
Yeah.
source, nigga? What the
No,
fuck is so hard, nigga? Say
I'm not putting that
say
person
John
out there.
Lennon or somebody, nigga.
No,
Say
I'm not
anybody.
doing that.
John
I'm
Lennon.
not.
Oh
We don't
man.
do that.
I'm
We
just
don't do
saying.
that around here. We
Start.
don't do that
Oh
around
man.
here.
Oh
Oh, so we
man.
don't speak
We
Start.
facts around here.
no. We
You
speak
just said
facts,
you
but we
heard from somebody. I'm
no.
like, nigga,
Yeah.
who talking to
Yeah.
you, my
Yeah.
nigga?
We don't.
You a washed
Yeah.
up rapper, nigga. Who
Yeah.
talking to you?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck you
The
talking about, dog?
disrespect.
Like,
A
you an
washed
Xbox
up
nigga. Who
rapper
talking
that
to you?
washed you in
Square
your
Enix
voice.
talking to you? Did they speak it?
A
Did they speak in
washed up
Japanese?
rapper that
Did they
washed
speak in
you in your
Japanese to you
voice.
when they talk to you, post, nigga? Who talked to you, bro?
A
Who?
washed up rapper
He
that
can't.
You
washed you
y'all
in your
niggas be
voice,
lying.
bro.
It's
Slow
all good.
down,
Y'all
bro.
be lying,
Stop.
bro. It's all good. I'm
Sometimes
Ain't
you
just
got
nobody lying, bro. Ain't nobody
King,
lying.
sometimes you
Look,
got NDAs and stuff. You can't
no,
oh
it
yeah,
ain't.
reveal
right,
your
right,
Look,
exactly.
source.
look,
Right.
look, look. You can do that. You can do.
Hey,
You make
what's
up
that
shit on your.
program that
You make
Microsoft
up.
got?
You make
Was it?
up shit on your show every day. So we're not
these
about to
niggas is
do
tough.
this.
Oh shit.
All I'm saying is that my source, whether you believe
Nigga,
me or
you ain't
not,
got no
I don't
sources.
care.
Hey, the only
Whether you
source you got
believe
is
me
on
or
your
not, I
TV
don't
when
care.
you change from an Xbox to fucking
Whether
Netflix.
you
That's the
believe
only
me or
source you got.
not, I don't care. I don't care. Whether you believe me or not, I don't care.
Oh
All
man.
I'm saying is what I heard and it come from a reliable source. Whether you
Yeah.
believe me or not, I don't care. I'm not finna put that person's name
Listen,
out there.
I understand honoring the whole insider stuff because sometimes you got to say your sources. So I get it, and everybody got to respect that. You know what I'm saying? You can't reveal your sources all the time.
Yeah.
Any
Said he
anyway,
mad because I watched him and his boy. But go ahead,
oh
run your show, man. Go ahead,
yeah,
run your
I
show,
appreciate.
man.
Thank you for falling through,
Yes,
my
sir,
brother.
man.
You
You always
already know
come
I'm gonna
in and
see you
start
later
some
on the
shit.
show, bro.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the love, man. Hey,
Yes, sir.
we got the darkest in here. I'm gonna go ahead and get him in here. And I'm sorry some of you guys have been waiting for a little bit, but I'm gonna get to you. I promise you. I do want to hear your opinion. The darkest. Go ahead, brother. You got the floor. What's good? What's good, brother? Same old,
On
same
that
old, man.
contract, by the way.
Oh man, my man want that pony slash
No doubt,
Pegasus
no doubt.
contract. Now you know the
Big
pony
big
contract,
fan,
right?
man.
That's the entry level contract, and once you've ascended to higher, the higher end of the echelon of game, and then you become a Pegasus. You get your wings and everything. You know what I'm saying? That's how we do it over here on PlayStation Nation. Go ahead, brother.
No
Tell me
doubt,
what
no
you think
doubt.
about everything. Tell me what you think about it.
Um, so I'm a multi-console owner, right? I own
As
both
you
the
should be.
Series
As you should be.
X, the Switch. I got the
Hmm.
PS5. My SSD's coming in tomorrow. Hella excited. Can't wait to get into the beta
Facts.
to, use that bad boy.
Facts.
Um, so my thing with Game Pass is this has been my approach to Game Pass since pretty much its inception. And this
Hmm.
is something I knew was gonna start happening with games and developers, is that people are gonna be like, oh, this game is coming out? Nah, I'll just wait to get it on Game Pass. And I'm just like, yo, that line of thinking is
Hmm.
absolutely freaking ridiculous. Like games
Hmm.
like Scarlet Nexus and a lot of cool titles that have come out over the course
Yeah.
of the last few months. Like people, I've been seeing like, oh, this game is coming to Game Pass. Battlefield 2042 was a perfect example. Scarlet Nexus was a perfect example. All these dudes is like, I'm gonna wait for it to come to Game Pass. They don't support the game, and now we see all these lower player percentages of games with completion rates.
Yeah.
I have Game Pass. I bought Gears 5 High Busters, and I beat that shit on insane difficulty within a
Hmm.
few weeks, bro. While I'm
That's what's
playing a
up.
whole shit ton of games in my backlog. I bought Scarlet Nexus on the Xbox Series X to support it. Every game that I pretty much play hardcore on Xbox or PlayStation, I buy. I've
Mm-hmm.
purchased Demon Souls at $70 a pop. I've
Mm.
purchased Ratchet and Clank Deluxe Edition. I ain't got no problem paying $70 for these games. But all of these Xbox dudes out here act like all of these third-party games are supposed to come to Game Pass. That's not how it works. And that shit is going to be the thing that really puts Xbox on the ass. Now,
Oh man.
I forget who came in here earlier. They was like, oh yeah, it was Cole. Shout out to Cole. He was like, Phil Spencer is well praised because, to be honest, he did save Xbox, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Phil Spencer did save Xbox because they were literally about to cut that when Satya became the head of Microsoft. He was like, "Why are we in gaming?" And
Yeah.
Phil had to convince him to keep him, on board with Xbox, and that's what Phil Spencer did. So Phil Spencer will always get that admiration for doing that. But gaming has been a traditional thing for us for a very long time. And for you to think you're going to be able to just come into it and change the landscape of the market with a subscription service that gives people access to a bunch of games, not saying that that's a bad thing, but people are going to hop from item to item to item to item to item. And then what's going to happen when the engagement starts to get lower and lower and lower and lower? And
Yeah. Good point.
one important point I want to bring up, is the fact that people want to be talking about, Microsoft purchased Bethesda, Microsoft purchased. That's one of the biggest acquisitions in gaming. I'm not ever gonna discourage that. I love Bethesda. I don't play a lot of their games, but I appreciate what they have brought to gaming and what they have done to gaming. But in the same vein, it's like people forget what happened with Xbox, Microsoft, and Bungie back in the day. Bungie hated working under Microsoft, and that's why they left. So don't act like because they purchased Bethesda, if that engagement is not there for these Bethesda games and they don't see these numbers going the way they usually do with
Then it's not gonna
Xbox,
happen. Yeah.
they can leave. This
Yeah.
is they probably got things tied into like work with them for a number of years, but after that, they can literally go independent just like Bungie did, and so can other developers that Microsoft has purchased. So
Yeah.
this is my point, and I'm gonna let somebody else take the floor. I appreciate you
Yeah.
giving me the opportunity to speak to all of these brothers and sisters in this
Definitely,
space,
bro.
man. I always
100.
appreciate it. But Xbox guys, I'm one of y'all. I'm a Sony dude as well. I don't have any real preferred platform to tie my horse to. But in the same vein, if y'all gonna be supporting Game Pass, make sure y'all support these games and these developers because we do not want to see none of these companies going under. Like I'm so
Facts.
glad that Sony was able to get games like Returnal out there, and now they purchased the developer of that, and now they ain't got to worry about where their next check is coming from. So
Exactly.
support these games. That's all I'm saying. If you got Game Pass like me, I still buy all of the games that come to that service because I want to see these devs grow. I want to see Xbox stay around. I want to see PlayStation stay around. Just support the games, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get Minx in real quick, and then we're gonna get Post Up and Optimus back in here, and then we'll wrap it up, man. I appreciate you. Let me get Gannon first. I think Gannon was before Minx. Gannon, go ahead, man. You have the floor.
Hello?
Tell me what's your thoughts, brother. Hey, how you doing? We hear you loud and
Hey
clear.
Jay, how you doing, man?
How you doing, brother?
Just 2 points. I think the first one would be when Alex was saying about putting skin, having that dropping the money on your games, right?
Yeah.
I guess there's lesser appreciation, right? When you don't drop the money on the games, right?
Yeah.
Like considering first like what happened with Bleeding Edge. It was in Game Pass. What happened to it? It got canceled, right? It got
Exactly.
canned. what happened to Recore? You don't really see nobody talking about it. Quantum Break, you don't see
Yeah.
nobody talking about it. All these previous games, not to sound like a Sony flip flop or anything, but you still see people talking about Horizon Zero Dawn,
That's
God
true.
of War,
That's true.
whether it gets
Spider-Man and all
Bloodborne,
of that. Yeah.
Spider-Man, and all that, right?
Mhm.
Second point is what Brap was saying. Sometimes too much is too much.
That's
Um,
true.
isn't there a recent article that Phil said he doesn't want these big blockbuster games, right?
Yeah, he didn't want the big blockbuster triple A Sony goatees.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was talking to Luca earlier, and I was telling her like, I think people are burned out from too much multiplayer games,
That's
right?
true.
I think the developers, who was it? Square, the ones that
Square
did
Enix.
Outriders, right?
Yeah.
I think they were going off the high of what Warzone and Fortnite's doing,
Yeah.
and I think they went into that fault. And what happened to what was it, Anthem with EA, right?
Yeah. Anthem. Yeah.
So that got canned as well. Or
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if they're still trying to do
Nah, that game is done.
re-
Yeah, that game is done.
right. So I think because I see on Game Pass, and the majority of games are what, multiplayer games, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think someone who has dropped what $400 to $500 on Warzone buying skins and battle passes, they're gonna go and jump into, I don't know, I guess Halo Infinite, right? And drop
Yeah.
another $300 to $400. I might be opening a can of worms, saying with the whole pandemic thing, people are just trying to go buy and survive right now.
Yeah.
But it's just my opinion.
Well, I thought just a rebuttal to that. I thought because we have a pandemic and stuff like that, and a lot of people laid off or can't work or whatever, that would be a godsend for Game Pass, where people
Yeah,
could spend $15 a month and have a bunch of games and play and engage with them and stuff like that. But
yeah,
that doesn't necessarily seem to be the case, which is kind of puzzling to me.
hmm
Because again, Microsoft has yet to release any updated numbers. A lot of these subscriptions are expiring. Some of the long-term subscriptions are expiring and stuff like that. So Xbox's silence on the Game Pass numbers and stuff like that is why people are questioning. And then when you have articles and stuff like this coming out about Outriders, it just feeds into the notion, right, that
yeah,
stuff is not good. So again,
yeah,
until we see some numbers, some updated numbers, personally, I can't say whether it's bad or good, but stuff like the perception is out there. The perception is
yeah.
out there, and we do see the engagement numbers and stuff like that coming out from some of the sources and developers, and it's just not favorable to the Xbox fan base.
Yeah, and like I said, I think people are just burned out.
Yeah,
There's too much multiplayer games, and everybody wants to release a multiplayer game. But the thing is, the engagement is where it's at already, which is Warzone and Fortnite,
yeah,
and possibly Battlefield when it comes out.
hmm
And like I said, there's too many, and I guess people are getting burned out.
yeah,
On all sides. Be it PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, whatever
hmm
it is, people are getting burned out. And dropping money in time like before pre-pandemic, it ain't what
yeah,
it is anymore. You know what I mean?
yeah. I hear you. Thank you for coming by, man. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Thank you,
rocking
man.
out with me.
Appreciate it. God bless.
All right, God bless. All right, right now let me go ahead and get get Minks, and then we'll get the OGs, Optimus and Post up in here, and then I do want to hear from my Xbox brother in Erodimus and my PlayStation brother Rain. We gonna hear about it. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. We got Minks 39. Let's see, Minks 39. We hear you, brother.
What's up, everybody? What's up,
Same
J
old,
Dub?
same old. Well,
What's up,
sorry it
man?
took so long, man. Shit goes left sometime. But
Yeah,
anyway,
man.
thank you for stopping by, man. What you got to say about the topic?
First of all, I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? But
Appreciate you.
just to have it, just short and sweet. The whole Game Pass situation, it kind of like crippled the mind of gamers, I believe.
Hmm.
And it's like, for instance, it's like that dude about to come out next month. And I
Yeah.
was, coming, just looking at comments and stuff like that, and like a lot of, Xbox people. And me personally, I'm a gamer. I love every platform. So I'm
As
not
you
gonna sit
should.
here and be like, oh, I'm a Sony pony, PlayStation. Nah, I love everything. But that being said, looking at the comments about, the debt loop and all that, and it was like, day one on Game Pass and stuff like that. And a lot of people like, well, good luck, ponies. Y'all paying $70 is a day one for us and stuff like that. But it's like
Yeah.
the developers not seeing, their return on the hard work they put in. Now, so what if that loop is a sleeper hit and it's really good? You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And and people really enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
we want sequels to these good games.
Absolutely.
Just like for instance, Days Gone, Days Gone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Sony feel as though they didn't make so much on it, but the PlayStation community, they love it. You know,
Absolutely.
and it's like, man, you can just picture how that game would be on a PS5 with that zombie mechanic and stuff like that. Man, they could
Exactly.
do so much with that, but
Or a multiplayer mode,
right,
Yeah.
right, right. And it's like, it's it just crazy, like, because these you want to see when I remember the developer came out, like, you want sequels, buy the game at full price, and that's true.
Absolutely.
You try to wait for it to go on sale,
Yeah.
and it's really a good game, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I just feel as though it kind of crippled the mind of gamers, like, in general, like, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, I
No,
just
you 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 you're right. The consensus today, ever since we started, the consensus is Game Pass creates in a gamer's mind that they have no involvement and they don't feel any obligation to play the game for long. And it's
right,
just too many games and it takes your mind away to other things. So the
right,
engagements are lower and stuff like that. Whereas if you spend $60, $70 on a game, you're going to find more value and you're going to put in the time to play it and to complete it and stuff like that because you spent your hard-earned money. So
right,
that's the consensus of the day, and I think most people agree with you on that.
right.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you,
man.
brother. I appreciate you, and I'm gonna get to some more of these. Thanks for rocking out with me, man. I definitely appreciate you,
Man,
and
I
I agree
appreciate
with you
y'all.
1,000%. Take
I
care, brother.
appreciate you, man. You too.
Take care. All right. We got the two OGs. We got OG Post Up. And I'm gonna go ahead and add OG code in here just in case, you know what I'm saying? Because they both some insiders and stuff like that. What's up, Post Up? Go ahead, let us know
Okay,
what's
I,
going
I
on.
just want to make a few points from what other people just were saying. First of all, Bungie did not hate working up under Microsoft. What it was that their regime back then didn't give them the freedom to create what they wanted because that
Mm-hmm.
regime who ran Microsoft back then, because Halo was at an all-time high back there in the money machine, they wanted Bungie to work solely on Halo, and Microsoft allowed them to let them go. And that regime back then is not the same regime that owns Microsoft now. Number
Okay.
two, Game Pass is an option. It's not something that's forced on you.
Yeah.
And with that, it's nothing wrong with if you're subscribed to Game Pass and you agree that Game Pass gives you value. It's nothing wrong with wanting more value to that subscription service that you pay money for. It's nothing wrong with wanting Microsoft to put other games in that service to give your service more value. Number two, with number three, with the $70 purchasing games. For example, GameStop had Returnal listed for $29.99, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I didn't see no PlayStation player or none of these ponies call up to GameStop and say, look, you got Returnal listed incorrectly at $29.99. Bump it back up to $69.99 so I can pay $70 and make sure these developers get their money. No, they didn't do that. You know what they did? They went and took advantage of it. They went and took advantage of it.
Okay.
People who pay for games, they
Mm-hmm.
pay for games within their means.
So
Some
you
people can
saw
some
so
people can spend money, $70 on 3, 4, 5 games. Some people ain't got the means to do
so
that.
you saw so you're saying you saw a
No, this is
post.
fact. That's
So no
fact.
no no no. I'm trying to get the.
GameStop had it at twenty nine
Hold on.
ninety nine.
Okay. So you're
Mm-hmm.
saying that GameStop had Returnal right after it
Returnal.
dropped for
Not right
twenty
after
nine
it
ninety eight.
dropped. Not right after it dropped. This was like a month or two ago.
Okay.
I
Okay.
saw the
Okay.
tweets
Okay.
on Twitter
You saw
because
the
on
tweets.
all
How
the
many tweets
ponies
did you
was
see of them?
I saw a couple of tweets, more than a few, more than a
Okay.
few, because they were telling, and I was in the comment section because
Mm-hmm.
other ponies was calling up to their GameStop to see if it was true. And
Yeah.
some of them found out it was true and they ran up and got it for $29.99. But these
Okay.
are the same ponies that tell us that Xbox don't back games and they don't support the developers at full price games because they in
Mm-hmm.
Game Pass. What are we doing here, Kratos? Look, look. Do what you do, however you do it. Like Thread say, do what you do, however you do it. If you have the means to pay $70 for games and stuff like that, then do it. But don't knock the next person who find other ways to get access to their content because their pockets ain't your pocket, brother. That's
Okay,
all I'm
post up.
saying.
Post up
What's up,
now.
Optimus?
What's up? What you just said, you need to take everything that you just said and tell it to yourself. If you
I
don't
do tell
think,
it to myself.
okay, so if
Mm-hmm.
you don't think that people should begrudge other people for buying games at a discount, then
Mm.
those same people shouldn't begrudge other people for buying games at full price.
$70. Oh
And
man,
you're
that's a
right.
good
You're
point.
right. You're right about that. You're right
All
about
right.
that.
All right, this is all I got to say, Jaydub. I'm only gonna be here for a second. I just like the
Okay.
way my Pegasus brother is holding this shit down. That's what I
Facts.
got to say.
Slow
God
down,
damn it.
Optimus.
Facts.
All right, now there's
But
only
yeah, I
one thing
respect that,
I gotta
Optimus.
say. Hey, look, Post, I'm sorry that you in here for this. This ain't really aimed at you, but if the shoe fit, wear it. Look here, man. The reason we ask for these gaming stats is because we have a problem in these gaming streets, and Hard Eight taught me this. I tried to fight him on it, but shit, he was right. The people that do the loudest talking about games be the one doing the least amount of gaming. But they always want to be the ones that have the most to say and want you to be the ones that take them the most seriously when they not
Mm-hmm.
out here doing what gamers do. If you want to, you can
Mm-hmm.
talk about what you want, right? Everybody talk about whatever they.
Uh-oh. Okay,
If you
yeah. We hear you now. You cut out for a
okay,
second.
if you are posing yourself as gamer, representing gamers, jumping in on all these gaming conversations, want to give your perspective and all of this good stuff, which is fine. If you expect to have credibility, you got to be doing what gamers do. This is going to be very difficult for people to take you seriously when your actions don't match your words. So
Mm.
get out there in these gaming streets and get these gamings done, man. That's really all I got to say, brother. Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, y'all heard from the OGs, of the industry and stuff like that. A lot of valid points. But the consensus of today, one thing I can say. Oh, let me get my Xbox brother Rodimus in here. I do want to hear from him. I like hearing from Xbox dudes and their perspective and stuff like that. Let me get him in here. Uh, let me get him in here. Rodimus, my brother, you got the floor. What's up, player? What's up?
Oh, nothing much.
Tell me your point of view of everything, man. You already know. You know what I'm saying? You already know what's going on.
Oh, I just think, you shouldn't cap for corporations for one, but,
Amen.
but that's always my philosophy, no matter what you do.
Amen.
But
Amen.
it's just a thing about, if you get the same experience for, uh, if you get a 2 pounds of Ruth Chris steaks,
Hmm.
you're not gonna ask to pay the full price. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's the thing, because I'm not capping for Ruth Chris. I'm trying to get the best value wherever I want. So,
Absolutely.
I
Uh,
think
uh-huh.
as for this Game Pass scenario and stuff like that, I think we're going, like I said before. I think we're just in a great spot where we're moving to a new paradigm shift, and everybody's trying to figure out how this paradigm shift is going. And
Yeah.
if that's true. Game Pass will live, Game Pass will fail, just like Netflix or Spotify live compared to anything else. So those are one of those things where I always say that if we're gonna bash it or we're gonna say the
Hmm.
devs not getting paid for it, this is what I'm thinking. Think about it with the devs. If we're playing games and we're dropping games, they're going-
Uh-oh, you're breaking out. You're breaking up. We can barely hear you now, brother.
oh, sorry. The devs are making games where consumers are not enjoying them and they're moving on and not completing.
Yeah.
I think that's more on the devs. They need to find ways to keep people.
Oh man, you. Unfortunately, your reception is bad, and people can't hear you. But I'll try to paraphrase what you're saying. We're in a paradigm shift with all these services and streaming and subscriptions and stuff, and we're trying to figure out where the future is going to lie. Microsoft offers Game Pass that tries to encompass some of that, and it's still early days, and we just got to see how this shit's going to shake out. I'll try to paraphrase that for you and think that that's exactly what you meant. I do got Thrash back here. I'm gonna get his opinion one more time, see what he got to say on that. Before I close it on out. Thrash, what up, brother?
Hey, my bad. Real quick, I just wanted to say one thing, one point that I didn't get to say because Post Up talked too much. Look,
Go ahead.
the moral of this story is this, right? The fact of the matter is these developers aren't getting paid. They haven't got paid, and they're worried about their pay, and nobody should have to worry about their pay. People are blaming Game Pass, them included, or at least insinuating as much as because how Game Pass is structured. We sat here for the last fucking 5 months hearing Xbox players get on PlayStation about $70, acting like nobody else was doing it, but getting on the $70 price tag and talking about, yeah, Game Pass is this and it's a great deal, and I just want the best deal for me. But at the same time, PlayStation players are saying, look, you gotta support these developers, support what you like. If you do not, it will be gone. And now we're in the situation to where we're seeing that exact thing. Sony is genius for starting to charge $70 for their shit. People say Returnal flop, not realizing that it sold 500,000 something in the first week, and that's at $70 a pop with a team that small. They are very successful, and people need to realize that extra $10 is insane, especially when you got $1 million. If they sell 1 million motherfucking copies, that's 10 million off that extra $10 that they fucking. People are not realizing, bro, that the gaming industry needs to be paid. We talk about crunch, we talk about all this fucking shit, but don't nobody want to pay these motherfucking developers, at least Xbox fans, because that's what Game Pass does to you. That's what services does. It makes you not give a fuck about the developers or supporting the developers when that's the very thing that is the lifeblood of your hobby is the developers. We have no gaming without developers. Phil Spencer ain't making no fucking games.
Well, and
So
I want to retort that for my brother Poster, because I know if he was here, he would say this. Well, Microsoft pays those developers, so if you subscribe to Game Pass, that is you supporting
that's
developers.
obviously not true though. That's not true. They're paying the publisher, and then the publisher pays the developer. That's the situation that we have right now. So if that game still doesn't make its motherfucking thing that make their goal, then these motherfuckers ain't gonna get paid, or it's gonna be a while before they do get paid. Microsoft ain't paying the developers; they're paying the publishers. That's why this team is saying that they want to publish their own games. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Post Up don't know shit. I don't know why you quoting him. This nigga missing one tooth in the front. Why would you? You know what? Just don't even worry about it, man.
Stall him out. I was just.
Look at the disrespect. He got to get personal. Look at the
Hey,
disrespect.
you know I'm fucking with you, Post Up. I got gray hairs on my chin just
They
like you.
might don't know on Twitter, but you the homie. We do our thing, but you the homie though. Look, man. Look, we could keep going back. And to what Optimus Prime said, I agree with that. If you're gonna talk gaming, you have to game. I say to that, I game on my own time. I don't game when people expect me to.
Nigga, you
I
got all the
game.
time in the world. You never game. I want to hear that.
I game when my time tells me to.
Nigga, why you here? You got
Hold
free
on,
time right now. Nigga, go run for you.
I got family. I got work. I got
Me
all
too.
of that. You know what I'm saying?
Me too. My wife right here. Nigga ain't got the world.
And I manage my time. And to each their own. We manage our time
Hey,
differently.
you manage your time away from gaming, bro. Clearly.
I'm just saying though. Look. But I agree with Optimus. If you're gonna talk about game, do some game. I'm playing Hades right now. But what Thrash don't know what the fuck he talking about. Oh,
I know you don't game. Am I off? I know you don't. Hey, am I off that you don't game? Am I off?
What
am I lying that you don't game?
About,
Do I need to display your records again, my
man?
See,
nigga,
he ain't gonna let me talk.
I know what I'm talking about. You
I'm
don't
trying
even
to bring
game.
some unity
close it out, bro. He
amongst
ain't
you
gonna
brothers.
let me talk, player.
Hey, how many Bethesda games you beat?
Bro.
How many Bethesda games you beat, nigga? How many have you played?
He had to say off, brother.
You was up there capping for Bethesda, bro, and you ain't played a single one of their games.
Toot your horn, Thrash. Go ahead, toot your horn,
Hey,
player.
Oh
Keep
man.
going.
why you got more time in
Keep
Roblox
keep
than you do Gears?
because my children play it. Do you have kids? Do you have
Right?
kids?
Wait, so your
Do
achievement
you
points are from
do
your
what?
children? Are
Do
your
you have
achievement points
kids?
from your kids?
Trash. Do you have
Wait,
kids?
hold on. So you
No.
telling me that your
What?
kids are responsible for your achievement points, my nigga? You
Do
only
you
get
have?
like
I don't
what,
achievement
10,000?
hunt. I don't
Nigga,
achievement hunt. I don't care
I
about
mean, you don't
achievement.
have to. You just gotta
I
play a
don't.
game.
I
Me
don't care
neither.
about
Me
achievement.
neither. And mine
I
is
don't
double
care
your
about
score on
achievement.
Xbox.
Okay. Do you
And
have children? Do you
yeah,
have children, King?
no. I got one
Well,
on the
shut
way,
the fuck up
probably
then. Shut
in
the
the
fuck
belly
up
right
then.
now.
Until
Hey,
you get some,
I'm gonna
shut
tell
the
you this.
fuck
I'm
up
gonna tell you
then.
this. I'm gonna tell you, if I did have kids, they would have their own system. They definitely wouldn't be using under my name. They'll have their own account.
They
Which
have
Why?
their own
to be
account.
fair, hold
Hey,
on,
Your
they
King.
have
To
children
their
be
get
own
their
fair,
own
account and
account.
they still play on my
to
account.
to, to be
You
They
want
have
fair,
them
their
to
own
build
account
up
and they
your
still
gaming
play on my
background, my
account.
nigga. You
hold
want
on,
them to,
What
they
are
King.
you
want to
To
do a
talking
be
good
about?
job.
fair, guys. To be fair,
Kratos? What you
my
telling
What
Kratos?
my
Roblox?
kids they play Roblox on my account and
Thank you,
Minecraft
See,
thank you.
on my
see,
account.
Even
To
though they
be
see,
got their
fair,
own account,
see,
right, Kratos?
see. Yeah,
now
y'all doing it backwards. My kids be
yeah,
building
yeah.
their stuff right
No,
And
now.
only because I don't I refuse to spend any money on Game Pass. I do the dollar deals from
yeah,
Taco Bell.
you gotta buy
Right.
Game Pass for each individual. I'm not finna.
Post
I
up. You
got
don't use
five.
Game Pass. You
I
don't even
have
got Flight
five
Simulator. You
children,
have
brother.
you downloaded Flight
Let me
Simulator?
tell
You
you
haven't
something. Let me
downloaded it
tell you
yet,
something,
bro.
King.
Oh
King,
shit.
I got five children,
You don't
brother.
even use Game Pass. You just paid for it and say I
Let
got
me
it.
say, look, you can keep up. Look,
Hey,
look,
you
you
got
don't
Game
know what
Pass
I
to fit
do,
in.
bro.
You got
You
Game
don't know
Pass
what
to
I
fit
do,
in,
and
bro.
you
Mm.
That's
brought
what
a
you got.
system.
Hey,
What?
that's the
You
reality
sound
of the situation. Is
stupid.
you got Game
You
Pass to fit in
sound
with the rest of these
stupid,
Xbox
bro.
videos.
Oh
Do you know how
man.
you sound right now, bro? You
Hey,
sound
how
stupid,
many
bro.
you ain't played Flight
You
Simulator
sound
where you can
stupid,
fly
bro.
a plane? That's Google Maps Simulator. That's right up your alley. You don't have to do anything. Just sit there and watch. That's just the type of game you like. That's all
Oh
you gotta
man.
do.
That's
You
the
would get,
type of game
but
I
you know
like.
how many achievement points you would get for landing?
Now you know what type of
If you
games
release your landing
I.
But
gear, you get some goddamn
Thrash,
Hey,
achievement.
he
And
said he's not
but
an achievement hunter. You know what I'm
I
I
saying?
know,
don't hunt
but he
achievements.
need them. I'm just saying
I
it's that
don't need
easy.
them.
If you land
I
your
don't
plane,
need.
it's not
I don't
hunting.
need.
You just landed.
I don't need nothing, brother. I need the game the way I game, and you do not determine how I game and how I choose to game, brother. You don't
Shout
determine that, brother. That's the
shout
problem.
out to
That's
big
the
shout out to
problem with some of you dudes. You
shout out to
dudes
Big
get so caught up
3090.
in
We
this
got
shit
3090 in the
that
house.
y'all feel y'all determine how people game, when they should game, how much time they spend on games. Y'all, you don't determine that, nigga. I'm a grown ass man, brother. Fuck is he talking about?
Talk your shit, post.
Let me stop because he ain't gonna let me talk. Every time I come up here, he come up here and
Shout
interrupt. So
shout
I'm
out to
just
my
gonna
brother
give it back
King's
to you.
Blood in
Good
the
shit,
house.
Kratos.
My
All right,
brothers.
appreciate you, brother.
Look like,
Go ahead. Tell me what's on your mind, man. What you think about all this shit?
you know what's funny? Out of all this blaming Game Pass, you know who getting the biggest pass in the world?
Phil Spencer.
No, the people that ain't paying them developers.
Oh shit,
Square
Square
Enix.
Enix. Square Enix. Oh man.
Square Enix over there looking like Diddy.
Oh man. So they signed them to a 360 deal and they getting all the
Bruh,
money keeping it.
bruh. Like that's something you can't ignore. Like
So
they
with that being
making money. You think about it like this. I don't know
yeah.
about y'all, but when Game Pass came out, I was hearing that Microsoft will be paying most of the developing costs and all that other stuff. And games,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna everything they get gonna be it's gonna be profit after that. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened with this game, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Um
where the profit at? They was number 3, wasn't they?
yeah, you're right.
What happened? They,
Damn.
I mean,
So do you think those not publishers, but those developers now are going to look at Game Pass model and say, look, if we go the Game Pass route, it's a possibility that 360 deal gonna fuck us some kind of way because
I
they
always
promised
said
us the world, but then it's
game
really up
should.
to the publisher anyway.
I always said games should go to Game Pass 6 to 8 months later. Let them get
Absolutely.
their money first. Then you put it in there. It's the same way EA does.
Yeah.
They
Well,
put they
PlayStation Now does that too, right? They
exactly.
put the old games after they already made all the bread and got the money. They throw the old games up on there.
And if it keeps selling, don't put it in Game Pass. Wait till it slows down on the sales, then put it in Game Pass. Like it should be like that, man.
Absolutely.
Like get the money
Absolutely.
and then keep it.
Absolutely.
I just don't
Well, and
understand.
I think, and I'm not against Game Pass at all. But this was kind of like my thing from day one. any corporation that has the potential to make 100% of the profits, why would they want to settle for less than 100% of the profits? And then if you're a developer, you put in all this time. Now you have to deal with Microsoft. Microsoft pays the publisher. Now you got to deal with the publisher. It's too many hands in the pot.
Right.
So yeah, I mean you're right. But and this is a AAA game, right? This is not an indie. We're not
Yeah,
complaining.
this
We're talking
game's
about an indie. This
$60,
is
bro.
AAA. Yeah. So again, I think Game Pass fits for those mom and pop games that are small that probably wouldn't have got the shine anyway. But at the same time, this is not a good look. And I understand what Post Up's saying, and I understand what everybody else saying, but there's going to be more of this conversation that's going to keep going forward. And so this a developer could say, hey, I was going to go to Game Pass, but looking at some shit like this, I don't want to get caught up.
Right. I feel like Game Pass should be the option later on. Like you got to get what you can get first, man. You
Yep,
know what I'm
yep.
saying? You got to get what you can get. It's just like being a single man. You gotta shop around, bro, for you settle down. You know what I mean? Like,
Big facts.
bro,
All
like,
facts.
yo,
All
then
facts.
you dependent on selling all your units on PlayStation and
Yeah.
Steam. Like, man, Steam dudes don't play at, like, you see what they be playing. You can go in and look. You see
Yeah,
the
they
type
play
of
them
games they play.
sandbox games. Yeah.
Yeah, like, or they playing them like PUBG and all that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's a niche set of game that they play. But
but all this happened.
uh-huh.
I mean, I always said Game Pass was created because these people don't buy games.
Absolutely. And we
Yo,
spoke about that a little bit earlier about how all last generation Xbox got no sequels at all from any of the
none.
games that they clamor for.
They didn't buy Rise. They didn't
Yep,
buy Quantum Break.
yep.
They didn't buy
Sunset Overdrive 2,
Sunset Overdrive
Dead
2.
Rising, none
Sony
of
might
that.
be getting Sunset Overdrive 2. Look at me. I mean,
Exactly.
come on, man.
Exactly. So I think that's the consensus for the day, brother. I think, I mean, you're right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. For some of my Xbox brothers out there, I think it's just, I don't know what it's going to take for them to see that light, but it is what it is. We're just going to have keep having more stories like this to come out. And then what you're going to do? What's after this though? After this Game Pass stuff, if it's not what Microsoft said is going to be, what they want it to be, the 2 billion games, then what? Where does that leave the Xbox and Xbox community and Xbox gaming?
I don't know, but I know it's gonna be the worst selling Halo ever.
Oh, hey, it's a free to play game. They're hoping that the PC crowd,
I'm talking
take
about
over
for
for
the
the Xbox.
campaign.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a full price title. Well, and they're hoping, I think Game Pass subs will go up some, but it'll get a bump because of Halo. But I think shortly after they beat that, then I think the next month it's going to be back down. So I think the next time we hear about Game Pass numbers will be directly when Halo drops.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, brother, thank you for following through, man. Showing your support, spreading that wisdom.
No
Appreciate you.
doubt, my brother. Be safe.
Take it easy, brother. Right next we got my man J Tech. What up? Come on in here, man. Tell me tell me what's going on, man. Tell me your thoughts. Yo, what's going on, brother?
Not much.
Tell me your thoughts on it, man. What's going on?
Well, we should talk about why Game Pass exists, and that is because the Xbox fans were unenthusiastic about the Xbox One, and they shut down and they stopped buying games. This is not a new thing. This is a very old thing. This happened in 2014, 2015, where the decision was made by Phil Spencer and many other people and higher ups to find a way to kind of not make their community and themselves look bad when it came to game sales.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't track the sales, then you don't take the L.
That's true. It's another way to hide the numbers or hide the progress. So
Exactly. So
mm-hmm.
now you've been successful with hiding the numbers, hiding the progress for, let's say, almost the whole last generation, about 7-8 years. Now what do you do? Like you said, where do we go from here? So you taking an L. Nobody's making money off of Game Pass, maybe the small developers. But we can't even say that. Why? Let's look at Hades. Look at how
Mm.
small that game was.
Only 7%.
There you
7%.
go. We're going to see the same situation with tennis next month. It's a
Yeah.
small game. It's going to do money. It's going to do numbers. It's going to make money. The fist game with the bunny rabbit with the robotic fist,
Yeah.
that's going to make money. It really all depends on where you put your game. And let me just say, not as a PlayStation fan, but as a gamer, I see where people make their money. I see who's supporting the industry more. It's PlayStation. We look at the sales report almost every month. We might have something to say about it. Sometimes we might not have anything to say about it. But
Yeah.
one thing we do see is that the PlayStation community is buying these multi-platform games, second-party games,
And
exclusive
third
games,
party. Yeah.
almost more than anybody. The only person that's beating us when it comes to first-party sales is
It's
Nintendo.
Nintendo. Yeah.
I mean, I talked to True Witty and the rest of the PlayStation Legion before I got out of the chat and hopped in here to listen to you guys. And one thing we all agreed on is that I don't think that this situation is going to go away. And I think that it would have been nice if they bowed out, kind of like Sega with the Dreamcast, respectfully, and become a publisher. Because you've done all that you could do. Sega was mature enough to understand they couldn't do any more and they needed to bow out. But they still wanted to give the gamers the games that they grew up playing. So they became a
Yeah.
publisher.
I kind of agree with you there. As far as the history and why Microsoft ended up in a position where Game Pass actually exists. But we just don't know what's after this. What's after this. If developers are not putting their games on there, can Microsoft first party hold it down? Can they hold it down for Game Pass over this generation? Right, we're early on in the generation. What happens? Year 2, 3, 4, 5 down the line with Game Pass. Do Microsoft have a strong enough first party to keep people in a subscription-based games, or will a lot of gamers, old school gamers like me, that don't mind buying games that they deem worthy, go out and just pay that one-time fee of $60, $70 or whatever, enjoy their game, play it whenever they want, however they want, and not have to worry about it leaving Game Pass or something like that. So that's a big question mark, and I think the Xbox fan base will have to look at itself in the mirror and figure out what's next. I'm not calling doom and gloom for Game Pass, but I'm just saying if developers start having issues with Game Pass early on, we're less than 1 year in a generation, and you're already having some issues with this stuff. I don't know. And like you said, the problem arrived last generation. It started last generation. But until Microsoft gets some big blockbuster games that people deem worthy, I just don't know, man. I see it being a issue. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, go ahead.
everybody. Oh, I was saying everybody's judgment was made within the first 2 years that it was over for Xbox.
Yeah.
And I feel just to answer some of the questions we were just talking about, it's not over for Xbox. Game Pass is Xbox. They can't back away from Game Pass. They're one and the same now. But as far as the big games coming through to save it doesn't really matter because we're still going to ask the same question 2, 3, 4 years from now.
Yeah.
Oh, what does it matter if they're not buying the games? Like, how many people like you, Jaydub, exist on Xbox? I mean, if I had an Xbox,
Yeah.
saying if I did, I would be the same person. I would be buying my games.
Yeah.
I got Sunset Overdrive 2 times, and I don't have an Xbox.
Yeah.
I have a physical sitting in my house right now. Like, if I want a game, I'm going to support it. I want to show the developers who get it. If they can't communicate with us on social media, money is the only other way they can listen.
Yeah.
If they're not getting it, we don't get it.
You're chopping up. We can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. No, that
okay. I'm just saying
you have some good questions, some very valid questions. the thing is I don't think any of us has the answer to that. Microsoft is going to have to
Yeah.
either throw unlimited amount of money at this problem and hope that it changes for the foreseeable future, or like Code said, Xbox is no longer about a console. It's they spent it off to something differently. So Xbox consists of cell phones. So they all of these games that they making with their first party, all that stuff can go to cell phones. It can go to other streaming services. We already saw the recent article saying that Phil and them tried to put Game Pass on PlayStation, Nintendo. Nintendo turned them down, and obviously, PlayStation turned them down. But if the hardware no longer is being made, right? If they say, look, we're giving up on hardware, but Xbox still exists through services, TVs, stream sticks, and stuff like that. So they're no longer competing in the hardware market. I think Sony and Nintendo will open up because that's one less competitor they have to deal with, right? Microsoft will become a third-party publisher, and and just like any third-party game, Sony and Nintendo will get that 30% split, and they'll accept it. But I think that's going to be years down the line. But this is just the first year for Game Pass, in a from next year for or current generation. I want to see what does year 2 and year 3 look like once the games come. We hope the game's going to come. We think the game's going to come. But whenever the games come, how are the Xbox fan base going to receive those games? We got Flight Simulator. We saw some people playing Flight Simulator, but again, is after a couple of weeks, where is that? Is that where are the user engagements on those? What's the sales looking like on those? Will those games become like the Sunset Overdrives and the Rise on the Roams and the rest of the games that got no sequels? I don't know. So anyway, thank you for stopping by, showing your knowledge and your love, brother. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Take care, brother. We got one last one, which is Magnus. Let's see. Let me get him in here and see what he thinks. Hey, Magnus, we got you. Can you hear us? Magnus, we can't hear you. Magnum. All right, couldn't hear him. We got another one, the Rogue. The Rogue. Can you hear me? The Rogue, your mic is on mute. If you want to speak, go ahead and unmute your speaker.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
There you go. We hear you now, loud and clear.
All right. So this whole Game Pass thing. I was listening to the rest of you guys talking about it, and I gotta say, this whole thing where they are delisting games. I mean, this is something that we talked about a long time ago, and we saw very early.
I'm sorry, man, but we can't hear you because of the TV in the background.
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
Okay, no problem. Thank all y'all for rocking out with me, man. I'm seeing a lot of faces. The beautiful Morgan Kimes, my man, my brother Post Up came through. J-Main in the house, King, Jabari, all y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. Landry, all y'all. Go ahead,
better?
We hear you, man. Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so what I was gonna say is that this whole problem with Game Pass as selling games as a service.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest problem with that whole idea, and other people have mentioned it already, is the idea of companies delisting games off the platform. Whew, sorry, I just had to go do a few flights of stairs there.
Okay.
Anyway, we all saw this way back when PT was removed from the PlayStation Store. Unceremoniously, in fact. And I'm wondering, in the future, if this trend continues, like if Xbox gamers continue to try and leverage on Game Pass for their gaming experience, what's going to happen down the road when most of those games are delisted or rotated with something new, and and other people who've purchased those games full price still have them? You're going to have a situation where someone with an Xbox backlog is going to be missing a huge portion of that, where other people are going to still have those games. It's going to be kind of like a It's
Yeah.
not going to be fair. It's not going to be fair to them at all.
That's a good point because we know recently Forza Motorsport 7 has been delisted.
And
So you make a
that was
very valid
supposed to
point.
be sorry.
First party game. I remember
Yeah.
Microsoft said all first party games are going to perpetually stay in the Game Pass, and that is not necessarily true based on Forza 7 being delisted. You're right.
Well, Forza 7 was a
unfortunately,
big thing because Forza 7 wasn't just like a first party game. It was supposed to be a showcase for the
absolutely.
and you remove a game like that, you remove,
Yeah.
you're removing one of those console versions of a benchmark that we use to show off what those things can do.
Absolutely. That's a flagship title. Halo, Gears, and Forza. Those are the only flagship titles from Microsoft first party. So you're right. That would be equivalent to removing Gran Turismo, right? For PlayStation.
Yeah, it's like you're cutting off
Yeah.
your nose to spite your face in this situation.
Yeah. So you're worried about the longevity of because Phil Spencer came out and spoke recently, and he wanted to be the champion of saving, gamers' content and stuff like that over the years, right? Their archive of all their games and stuff, and it's just ironic. Right after he said that and championed that his own first party game, Forza Motorsport 7, got delisted. And I know
Exactly.
people are going to say, well, you can go to your mom and pop stores and buy for cheap and keep the physical, but that defeats the purpose because if you're going to go out and champion something and you have a platform that is or is counter to what your messaging is, that just shows that, either you're frauding or you're a liar.
And it's funny that you mentioned that you can still go out and buy the copy of the game, but if it's delisted from Game Pass, that brings up another question: are the servers still running?
Absolutely. We see it time after time, right? And all companies do it, right? They delist stuff. All companies, like I wouldn't expect MLB 2013 to, them still be wasting server space on that. But maybe MLB 2022, 2021, maybe 2020, maybe even 2019. But anything past that, maybe not. So
Yeah, anything going back more than 5 years is probably not going to
yeah,
be online anymore.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, man, thanks for dropping by, dropping that knowledge and stuff like that. You make a very valid point, and gamers of Xbox and Game Pass are going to have to think about that as well. What's the longevity of the games in Game Pass? We know that there's a 30 to 90-day window where the third party and second party indie games leave, but Microsoft said all first party games will stay there perpetually, and that is not the case. They came out within year one and have flip flopped on that. So that is a whole nother problem. All right, man. Thank y'all for rocking out with me, man. I had a blast today. All y'all, thank you for coming out, showing your support. This is a great topic that we had. I thought I'd put it out there, since the topic is about Game Pass and Outriders and the developers not getting paid or they're having issues. Is this a one off, or is this a telling of something to come? Is this a future forward thinking type thing that a lot of developers, especially of triple A quality, the high blockbuster, big budget games, is this something that gamers are going to have to deal with going forward? Is Game Pass viable for that? Outside of first party, will first party leave? Game Pass, will more first party games be leaving Game Pass? Is Game Pass viable for the foreseeable future? We don't know. Hopefully it is. A lot of gamers say it's just another alternative, but Xbox sales in itself